favorite scary movie? What's your favorite scary movie? What's your favorite scary
We all believe in accidents.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. So good to see ya. Finally, at last, here we are. And look at this fresh face I'm joined by.
Oh my god, my face is fresh, isn't it?
It's been so long, I feel like I don't even know you anymore.
It's been actually a little bit too long, but it's all for good reason. Amazing things will be seen soon.
Ooh.
Well, not that soon. Kind of, you'll have to wait an annoyingly long time, at least as far as I'm concerned. But
We're thinking like
eventually-
2023 or...
Yeah, like January.
Oh,
like it's giving
Jesus.
January right now.
I'm going to be
I know,
33 by the time that happens.
and I'll be dead.
Don't say that. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. It's so good to have you. Welcome to the party. If you know us from Ranking Final Girls, cool, welcome. So glad you found us this way. If you don't know us from the regular gig, we are of Hacker Slash, a horror movie review podcast dedicated to telling you whether a movie is a hack, a total
A
joke.
total joke. Waste of time. Oh, wait, was that not for me?
Nope, it's you. I love it. Or a slash.
Totally killer. Pun intended.
So we review horror movies from the perspectives we gain from our varying walks of life, the flavors of fear that we fancy most. But tonight we're doing something a little bit special. Tonight we're continuing the journey of ranking Final Girls across the decades. This time, in particular, between the years 2000 and 2009. Now, my name is Chris. I am your friendly neighborhood slasher enthusiast. I am a fan of many of these movies, and this week I'm joined not by Ryan, but by our stream queen and our scream queen, Paris.
Hi, it's me. Hello. I
You're
am
welcome.
multifaceted.
Yes, a human of many talents, and we're happy to have you. Now, we are on this journey of ranking Final Girls, and if you haven't joined us yet, the list is massive so far, so we'll do a quick recap in just a few moments. But the table is cleared for right now to just focus on the years 2000 to 2009. Now, Paris, how would you define a Final Girl?
Oh, my definition of a final girl, listen, she has to be a bad bitch. She doesn't necessarily have to be somebody you root for, but in the end, she will win you over. I think the most effective final girls always do. I think you don't necessarily have to be a final girl to be a final girl. I think sometimes you can die and still have final girl energy. I think it's really a vibe. It
Yeah.
really comes down to the vibe.
That's honestly very fair. Now, when we set out the work of building a Final Girl roster for all these decades, we've had a lot of names thrown at us. And in just a few moments, we're going to go over kind of like the ground rules here, because we are nothing if not a professional operation. We don't just willy-nilly just operate solely on bias here.
But some bias will come into play.
Absolutely. The system is built for bias inherently. So when we look at Final Girls, we're looking at the girls who actually made it through the credits. We'll get there in a bit. I do want to acknowledge a few people, and we'll get to them in just a moment. But for example, we have the main protagonist of Final Destination 3, the girl who has a premonition. She doesn't actually make it to the end of the movie. So she won't be ranked tonight, but I'm sure we'll still talk about her. And she's a star.
If we must.
I mean, she's a star. It's okay. She's on the tier list in another variation, at least in the next decade. So she still has some representation for her horror work.
Good for her. That's interesting.
Yeah, we think about range. We think about the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis has been on this list several times. We think about Danielle Harris, who is on the list. She joined in the 70s and 80s tier, and now she's going to be back at it again with the 2000s in a couple different places. So that's going to be really exciting.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Paris, are you familiar with the tiers that we have in terms of how we're organizing our Final Girls tonight?
Let's say that I'm not.
Okay.
I only know tier lists in the context of video games, in which there's like an S, an A, a B, a C.
Yeah, no, it's just like that, except a little bit better, a little bit more effective. So we have at the very, very top, the creme de la creme, right? We have the legendary. These are the icons, the legends, the women who just really throw down, and they've almost defined the horror genre. Think so far, Gail Weathers, Sidney Prescott, Laurie Strode, Ellen Ripley. So we have some really heavy hitters up there. Okay. Now, beneath that, we have the Final Girls who may not be as legendary, but are still damn good Final Girls. Like, unquestionably, really carried a few movies.
For example,
Nancy Thompson.
oh, classic. Okay.
Yeah.
Nancy Thompson. Energy. Got it.
A few of them. The ones who you would probably think are actually legendary, and then you remember they may not have survived their entire franchise, right?
I feel like Nancy gives sub-legendary energy.
Yeah, sub-legendary, but still effective, right?
Exactly.
Then we have the adequate tier. Now, those are the ones who are just the girls that get the job done. You know what I mean? Like, they're in their movie, they survive to the end, and they do some shit along the way and to their, like, spiritual growth, you know?
I like to think that I would fall in this tier.
Yeah. I think we all aspire to be adequate and just really ready ourselves to live with that trauma. But they're the ones that do a little bit more than just get by. And that brings us to our next tier. Now, the bottom of the barrel, mathematically, is the forgettable tier. These are the ladies who are in their movies. They make it to the end, but it's probably a coincidence.
Okay, I take it back. This is the tier I will fall into.
You really think so? I think you do a little bit better than that.
Well, I appreciate that confidence.
Okay, yeah, you'd be just fine. You'd be just fine. Now, these are the ones who survive either by sheer luck or they are rescued. There's a lot of damsel in distress energy in this tier. These are the folks who honestly couldn't have made it and it wouldn't have changed the outcome because they weren't really the main focus.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Now, the way you get to these tiers is by sheer numbers. So the way that we rank this is we have a system for points gained and points losses. And to explain how we're going to approach this tonight, Paris, we have a system in which we're going to go through each Final Girl. We're going to break down the movies they were in, the stuff that they did, and then their final point value will assign them to a specific tier. But where's the fun in just numbers?
I can't find it.
Yeah, famously no fun in just numbers. So that's where we brush up our bias, right? We have the addition of the underrated and the overrated tiers. Like the women who mathematically land somewhere, but they really are forgettable, we'll bump them down into overrated. Or, for example, Jess Bradford from the 1974 Black Christmas mathematically scores very low. Still very iconic. She went up to underrated category, the underrated territory. Does that make sense?
It does. Does that bump them up on the rankings at all? Or do they just get like a sub, like honorable mention kind of thing?
Think of it like an honorable mention, but who knows? Maybe we'd be so compelled to bump someone all the way up into legendary. We don't know how this is going to shake out.
I love the mystery. I love the potential.
Right now, there are 2 women who have fallen into the overrated category. And that is, well, they are Sally Hardesty from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Cardio Queen, who just ran and screamed the entire time.
Well,
And Julie James from I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, this is Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Wait, overrated?
Overrated. She didn't do shit, Paris.
Rude.
She didn't
I'm
do shit.
mad. She had bangs and was cute.
Yeah, okay, so we'll see
That's
where
half the
your
battle of being the final girl.
we'll see where your notes lie, Paris, but she didn't do much of anything. So we have, for example, over in our Discord chat, we have Tony, who has been really campaigning for Julie. She is someone who I think, Tony, I believe you shared that you had a big crush on her growing up, which I can understand and respect. There are a few women on here that I've had crushes on too. But it doesn't change the fact that she didn't do much of anything.
Ugh, but she won my heart.
I know.
Give her a bonus point retroactively.
We'll get there in just a bit, but I think right now it's really important that we take a look at some of the rules and the criteria of how we're going to make this work tonight. Ready for that?
Yes.
Perfect. So looking at some of the qualifications that we have, just a second here, I'm going to fix your video.
We got an incredible qualification screen.
I know.
Come on, production.
The real production is the fact that I have to fix your video right now, and you're just gonna be real big. Look at you go.
That's okay. I'll pick my nose while nobody's looking. Oh wait, it's seen.
So, what are some of the things that come to mind for you, Paris, when you think about what would qualify someone as a solid final girl?
Well, I don't know if this is part of it, but like, how many movies did she last? You know, if it's a franchise. Did she make it to the sequel? Because yeah, you might have lived through the first one, but were you included in the sequel? Were you invited back? Or were you a nightmare on set? Nobody wanted you back.
Ooh,
Something
absolutely.
Like you know, I also think like, if it's like maybe like a zombie movie, how many zombies did you kill? Like, how many kills does she have under her belt? You know, all self-defense, of course. She would get fully acquitted for all of them, but what's her body count? You know? I think of our iconic Erin from the greatest horror movie of all time, You're Next, and how everything she did. Well, actually, she might not be acquitted based on how that movie ended, but what's the body count? How much of a fight was put up? And I think also how active was she in her own survival? Because I get it, like Julie was a passive survivor, and that is the kind of survivor I imagine I would be, just kind of skating by on bangs and looks alone and then somehow slipping through to the end credits. But you know, I think it's important to be an active final girl. I think you need to take control. I think you need to have agency and say, listen, I'm not going to put up with this. I'm not dying today. No, ma'am.
Absolutely. These are all really important things. And I really want to look into how we're refining the definition, right? So first things first, like we discussed earlier, this final girl must have reasonably survived through the credits. Now, there is an exception in one of these films where there is a different version of the film, think of like an alternate ending, a theatrical cut, where it is revealed that this woman made it, even though in the theatrical cut she's presumed dead. We're open to that. Now, it is impossible for me to have done all this research in advance and still get everybody. So A, I apologize if we're missing a final girl. B, if there's an alternate ending that we just don't know about, let us know, by all means. But for now, the rule of the game is must have reasonably survived. Okay. Now, looking past that, we are looking at remake characters being assessed separately within their own canon. So I'll give you the example. Laurie Strode started out in 1978. Laurie Strode is back in the tier tonight, but she is ranked separately because this is a different actress in a different story. Different actress in the same canon, in the same series of films, like happened in Hatchet, totally fair game. That's going to be all ranked together. But this is like the second coming of this final girl. Does that make sense?
It does, yes. It's a reincarnation.
Yes, a reimagination, if you will. And then we're also looking at no antagonists. So, Paris, there is a final girl that I know that you're extremely passionate about. I'll give you a moment if you want to talk about her right now.
As well?
I am, but she's not a final girl. She's a villain.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about a victim. We're talking about Jennifer Check, an amazing woman.
Oh.
There are many women who can fit this. Amazing woman, harrowing moments. I actually was rewatching a YouTube video about a murder that is eerily similar to how Jennifer Check was murdered, and we think about Jennifer as a wholesome human. You know what I mean? Like she deserved better. But through the context of the story, she's like the anti-hero. Like there is a Jennifer's Body final girl in this movie. There absolutely is. But it's not Jennifer because she is like the main perpetrator of maldoings in that film.
I take umbrage with this rule for a few reasons.
I'm
I
already
think
getting
a final
texts
girl
about
can
Jennifer.
also be an antagonist. I think that's okay. I think a gag could be she's the final girl the whole time and then ends up being the antagonist at the end. I think that's amazing. I also, with this in mind, I'm looking at the candidates tonight and I'm seeing a lack of somebody specific that I know you and I have thought about in the past. And it's our girl Marie from High Tension. She, to me, is final girl.
Of course she does. Of course she does. We'll have some time to debate that one. I totally get it. Don't worry. But for now, someone who is absolutely, undoubtedly, at least on the heroic side of things, and not the main perpetrator of killing people. Now, the other element to consider is how we're even scoring these in the first place, right? So, Paris, you covered a lot of it already. You get a point gain for each movie you appeared in. You get a point gain for each movie you survived in. So that's like a minimum of 2 points, right? If you're only in a one-shot deal. You get a point for the number of killers vanquished.
Oh, interesting. Does that mean zombie girls get like a way higher? Is there a curve?
Okay, that is such a great question, and it's really something that we're going to have to really explore in the next film, or in the next decade in particular, because some of these numbers just are outrageous. You think about Laurie's 20 plus points, you think about a zombie girl's 20 plus points, very different, very different. Oh, and I'm also surprised that we have a lot of people in the chat who've never seen High Tension, Paris.
Here's the thing. It's admittedly a little problematic. I can acknowledge that. But I don't think that takes away from the good things.
I disagree. I think it does take away from the good things,
know.
but that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, this is really like what brought us together was like our discourse over the movie High Tension. I'm pretty sure that's like the foundation of our relationship.
It 100% is. It absolutely is. And I don't think I can think of a better movie that would define the differences between you and I. 100%.
It really exemplifies it.
Yeah.
Beautifully.
Now, I want to zero in on what we mean by the term vanquished, right? So this is a final girl presumably kills her killer, right? We all know that they aren't ever dead, right? So I look at this as someone who squared up and stopped the progression of the plot in the killer's direction, right? So maybe she dealt a fatal blow, a seemingly fatal blow. Maybe she gave the second to last blow, like maybe it's a tag team effort and she really just socked it to him in the last moment there. There are some opportunities there. There's some potential there to be a little descriptive, and we'll get into that as the stream goes on and we think about some of these women and what they've done. Feels pretty
That makes
clear.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think vanquished leaves enough room for interpretation.
I try to be loose here, all right? Really liberal with our words. Now, the interesting thing is we get some complications this time around. Now, as in our past streams, you will lose a point for every movie that you are killed in. So think of alternate timelines. If you didn't make it to through that movie, you're done.
Okay.
Okay. You have a look. You have a look about you.
I have thoughts. Well, immediately, obviously, this isn't the right decade, but I'm thinking of Tree in Happy Death Day. What's going to happen to her?
Oh, you'll see, because Tree actually has someone very similar in this decade.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Incredible.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. So then we're going to look at the number of non-killers killed. Now, this seems weird, right? How could you be a final girl and kill someone aside from a killer? Innocence gets wrecked in this decade. More so in this decade than I think we've seen in past decades. There are some women who are inadvertently the culprits behind someone losing their life, or they subjected someone to additional danger, or they made a decision that left someone stranded and that person got. And without that final girl's intervention or lack of action or mistake, that person may have lived. That person may have made it to the end of the movie.
It feels fair to dock points for casualties.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we have a few a few considerations to make, right? We have a few ways that we're going through this, and it's not the end all be all. There's still going to be some differences. There's still going to be some gray area. That's why we're going to be active in the chat tonight. That's why we're going to be weighing in and asking for your opinions as well. But Paris, are you ready to get started?
I am. Let's go. Are we doing this alphabetically?
We sure are.
Okay, fantastic.
Did Dakota Fanning make it onto this? Tony, which role are you imagining Dakota Fanning? I don't remember a Dakota Fanning Final Girl, and that makes me sad. Why can't I remember this?
Even in Neon Demon, the doll didn't make it. Also, spoilers. Just up top, there's going to be spoilers for every single everything.
Absolutely. We're going to be really giving it all to you.
Wait, Tony makes a really compelling argument. The film Hide and Seek, starring Robert De Niro and Femke Jensen.
Okay, we'll have to investigate further. Now, again, here's going to be the real ticker here. If you find a movie that we do not get to at all, Paris, it's okay to drink on camera.
Not on YouTube, it's not.
Okay. If you have a movie that we missed tonight that we haven't talked about, or if you have some questions, maybe there's a glaring oversight, by all means, absolutely, drop it in the chat. For those of you watching on YouTube who aren't in our Discord, drop it in the YouTube chat. It's cool. We are going to make some amendments and some updates and addendums as we continue on, because once we rank each major decade, then we're going to rank the legendaries. And see,
incredible.
Absolutely. I am so ready for it.
Let's go.
We're going to have to do this post Halloween ends so we can give Lori her fair shake. I know.
It'll take forever.
I know. It's going to get there. But we'll rank each tier by, except for maybe the forgettables. And maybe we'll have a redemption round for the overrated. But there's plenty of opportunity to correct the record, set it straight, and make up for some lost time.
Chris, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Do you think Lori's going to die?
I am not ready to speculate on this event. So... check it out. I've seen the trailer, the teaser now for Halloween Ends a million times. And when I say a million, I mean like 30. But I've been assessing it like almost frame by frame. In my gut, I have a sensation. But I want to be mindful and respectful of those who either don't watch trailers or don't want to speculate. But Paris, I will absolutely text you my thoughts. And we'll have, I imagine, plenty of content leading up to Halloween Ends. So I can like get my prediction out there and we'll make a fool of myself if I'm wrong.
As somebody who has not watched the trailer not one time, I feel like she has to. For this to be the final, she has to. They both have to, and they need to like fall off of a cliff in each other's arms. Something like that, you know what I mean?
We saw that.
Mutually assured destruction.
We saw a little bit of that in Halloween Resurrection at the very beginning, but you haven't gotten there. Rob asks.
Let's get this roast cooked.
Yeah, Rob asks in the chat, do you listen to Halloweenies? I do not listen to Halloweenies. Sounds great, though. I like Halloween. Okay, so first up, we have Abigail. Paris, you recall the film Stay Alive. What was your impression of Abigail?
She was the one with the bangs who was a gamer girl, and she's like, I'm not like other girls. She was annoying to me. I didn't care for her very much.
She was the one who creepily showed up to a funeral taking pictures of everybody else, and that's how they meet. That's her meet cute.
Yeah, not cute.
So, in summary here, we have Abigail, who is in one movie. She survives one movie. And technically, she helps rescue Hutch. So, she technically gets a third point.
Scarecrow could have rescued him.
Absolutely. But here's the kicker. I think Frankie Muniz more so rescued Hutch. I think he rescued her and then took her on his way to rescue Hutch. So, I don't really give her in my heart full credit for it.
If Chris Rojas is not giving a woman credit, then you know she doesn't deserve it.
Oh, wow. That it sounds accurate, but also a little aggressive, and I'm okay with it. So with a total of 3 points, that lands her in the forgettable category.
Oh, thank God. I was going to say, if you say anything other than forgettable.
Ashley in the chat says, oof, I love this movie as a teen, but I absolutely can't stand it now. The characters are all awful. Poor Sophia Bush.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it. We said it on the Stay Alive episode. It's ripe for a remake, especially now that there's an AR/VR storyline that you can do here. But completely different team. Nobody involved in the original can be involved in the remake.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. It's disappointing because I think she could have had some potential, but I think she fell prey to early 2000s cinema, and they just didn't give her what she probably deserved. And Sophia
fair.
Bush, I'm sorry to you too. Next up, we have a character from Alien versus Predator 2004. Have you seen this movie, Paris?
Believe it or not, I saw this in theaters with my cousins. Can't tell you a single thing that happens in this movie, except I feel like there's a bunch of alien eggs at one point. They like find a bunch of alien eggs in a city, maybe like a subway. I think I don't know.
This happens, yeah. You know, things. I haven't seen this
Really?
movie. I haven't seen this
Oh,
movie. I've seen Alien. I've seen Aliens. I've seen the first one or two Predator movies. Have not seen the crossovers. This is fan fiction that I wasn't expecting. It's ones that it's some stuff that I haven't really looked into. But we have Alexa Wood, and I want to point out that we're not always going to have a movie that you and I have both seen, Paris. So I called in a little bit of an assist here. We have some help.
incredible.
We have a
Was it
new.
Mac?
No, it wasn't. I should have asked Mac because of the sci-fi, right? We have a new staff assistant for the show, which is really exciting, by the pseudonym J.A. Ripley.
Oh my god, really?
We absolutely do.
Is it a ghost?
I'll explain later, but J.A. Ripley did a lot of stuff on this spreadsheet, really put in a lot of work, and we actually have some amazing comments that I may be reading because some of these are just fucking too good to pass up. But let's break down Alexa Wood, right? We have her starring in one movie, surviving in one movie,
Okay.
but she vanquishes 13 killers.
Really? Does she vanquish both Alien and Predator?
I don't know. I don't know if she sides with the Predator because I haven't seen the movie.
I'm
But
looking at a GIF in which they're fighting side by side.
Oh,
which
I
is
love
kinda
that.
giving.
So it looks like she kills the queen, alien, soldiers, and eggs in Arctic locations, subsequently saving the entire planet, which is wild. And this is the element here, right? There are so many movies and so many Final Girls where we're going to have the situation where they are responsible for billions of lives. Like billions of people continue to live. We're keeping this shit on screen, all right? We're going to give a fair shake and kind of curb things that way. But I want to say, Ripley writes, we stand a black woman who leads, perseveres, and earns the respect of a predator while standing alongside it against a xenomorph army.
I completely vibe with all of this. I'm currently Google imaging Alexa Woods, and I'm not displeased by any of it. She's giving iconic. The looks are strong. You can tell she's definitely formed a powerful alliance with Predator, who appears to be wearing fishnet stockings in this.
That's
which I
hot.
just dropped a gif in the chat, and I'm like, what are these fishnet pantyhose that this Predator has on? But work. I honestly maybe would say she's giving a little bit underrated because I feel like people don't think about her.
Well, here's the thing, though. She doesn't have to be underrated because the math is going to carry her and give the good representation for the work she does straight to the legendary category.
Oh my god, really? Okay, that may be a bit much.
Oh, you think so?
I mean, like, who is she? You know, not the name on everybody's lips.
But here's the thing. This is why the math matters. So we did this scoring system. And the math is, carefully curated in a specific format to make sure that we are not overlooking someone just because we haven't seen them and aren't familiar with them, right? Alexa Wood put in some damn work, and she is earned in the point system. And honestly, she did more than Gale Weathers, and Gale Weathers is legendary.
Okay, but something has to be said for a cultural impact, no?
Absolutely. That's why, you have a comments box on the spreadsheet, and we'll reassess this for the 2010s.
I think the All Stars will really shake out how it should.
That's fair. That's fair.
But
Rob,
for now, I'm happy to have Alexa in Legends.
fantastic. Rob says, I have not seen this movie, which is weird because it seems like something that would be right up my alley. Go check it out.
Here's the thing, Rob. I don't remember it being great, but I also don't remember it at all.
How tragic. How tragic. So next up in our list, we have Alice from Resident Evil. You've seen Resident Evil, yes?
Here's the thing. Probably. I think I have been forced to watch a Resident Evil movie by every one of my exes. And I can tell you this. I don't like those movies. But that bitch is bad. She is a bad That bitch. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like her body count. Oh my God, she killed everything, every species, every type of underworld creature. She's done it
Mm-hmm.
all.
So let's give a good summary of Alice and who she is, really. She's a modified clone with access to heavy weapons and psychic abilities throughout the franchise, and she spends the first film fighting her way out of a facility with most of these things. That sounds intense. So we have a hell of a franchise for Alice. We have her starring in 6 movies, surviving all 6 movies. We don't have her getting killed. We don't have her directly saving anyone on screen. But we do have her as vanquishing, on screen at least, 14 killers or villains. And no
I feel like it's
bystanders.
more.
Yeah.
Oh, she's famously not going to be doing any of that. And actually, in most of those movies, she's the only thing that's not evil, typically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So she's revealed to be a clown, but she survives all 6 movies by the sheer will of Paul Wes Anderson and might exist in a ring of hell where there are always zombies. So, a lot of
She's revealed to be a clown.
revealed to be a clone.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what?
Also a clown. Why not?
Clone.
Yeah, a clone. Clone. But her 26 total points, which is almost double. Our previous one takes her right up to legendary.
See, that makes sense to me, if only for the cultural impact of it all. Mila Jovovich, you know, she is known for being that girl with that short haircut, a really strong boot, a tight leather pant, and some sort of like a little bit of a top, and then just like 2 guns, maybe a sword. I didn't know there were psychic abilities, but work, bitch, that's incredible. It sounds like she can do it all. Like, if I need an alliance to form in the zombie apocalypse, I'm calling up Alice.
Okay, I just want to point out Taylor in the chat says hot dog cut or it doesn't count. I don't know about the context here. I feel like I may have missed something really critical, but you say hot dog cut, I'm thinking about Terrifier.
And I'm terrified thinking about it.
Those are rough days. Next up, we have Amber Williams. Does that name strike a bell with you, Paris?
No, and nor does this thumbnail. Who the hell is that?
Okay, so check this out. After the summers of someone knowing what happened, there's a movie called I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. And this is a new group of folks. Same antagonist, new group of folks. So we have Amber, who's kind of like the new Julie, right? She's supposed to be the equivalent. But here's the thing. Julie, it took her into the second movie before she did something about the killer. Amber at least did something. Now, don't confuse this for me being pro Amber. Don't confuse this for me being absolutely she's better than Julie James. But she does save someone by killing the killer in a wood chipper. So I think that gets a little bit of effort. So we have her as a point for starring in the movie, a point for surviving that movie, a point for saving someone, and a point for vanquishing, which carries her into adequate.
Okay. Sure.
There are
That feels
reasons.
generous, but the math is there.
I get it. But that's why we have a round later for bias, right? Because some of this shit doesn't feel right. So Paris, maybe if you don't mind, you can pop a comment in that cell. We're gonna probably have to reassess Amber Williams in a little while.
Yes, that cell that exists in the document I have open right in front of me.
Interesting. Ashley says she doesn't like math. Ashley, don't worry. I don't like math either. I famously I got straight A's in school and almost didn't graduate because I kept failing math. So 1A I didn't get. And then we have Nathan saying, I'll give her bonus points for being played by Brooke Nevin. Otherwise, the role is forgettable.
Who's Brooke Nevin? I was just looking at that and I was like, Brooke Nevin is nobody. Who's Brooke Nevin?
I don't know. Nathan, perhaps you can educate us on who Brooke Nevin is. I don't have it.
Comebacks. I don't know what that is. It sounds like a sports show. Oh wow, it is sports. I knew it. My Suicide. Call Me Fitz. I don't know that the name Brooke Nevin holds any weight here, Nathan. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
So
We'll learn. So we have Amber taken care of. Next up, we have Amy. And actually, we're going to do Amy Mayfield first. Amy Mayfield is from Urban Legends Final Cut from 2000. Okay. Have you seen this movie?
I have not. However, this is Alex Mack. It needs to be acknowledged that this is Alex Mack.
You mean famed hacker slash relationship Alex and Mac? Alexis
Yes.
and Mac. Alex
Yes.
Mack. Okay.
Famed podcast ship Alex Mack.
So here's the deal. Urban Legends, Urban Legend, solid movie. Urban Legends, Final Cut, maybe a better movie. I really enjoyed this one. We'll get to it someday on the podcast. But Amy kind of goes through some shit. You know, she's just a girl trying to make her movie. She's in film school. We're trying to just do things out here. So we have her as surviving in the movie that she stars in. So that's 2 points. She helps save someone else, and she helps vanquish the killer. She doesn't directly vanquish the killer, though. She does shoot the killer. She does save this guy Trevor, but she gets an assist from a character who she's a little bit later down in the stream. We are going to add her this time around because I missed her in the 90s. I forgot to add her in Urban Legend, and that's Reese, the cop, the campus security.
Okay.
She's
Okay.
Hey man,
The
her
character
numbers.
who I insist. Actually, you're probably right. Yeah, the numbers are probably there for her. The character who I insist inspired Denise Hemfield, played by Niecy Nash in the hit show Scream Queens.
Yep, yeah, there you go. There you go. I have Amy Mayfield with her numbers inadequate. She does a little bit
Okay.
more than just survive. You know,
Sure.
she participates. She doesn't just
She
sit
does.
there, you know, wait for someone to rescue
She's an
her.
active participant in her own survival.
Now, next up, we have Ms. Jenna Malone in The Ruins, 2008. I have never seen this movie. Have you?
I don't think I have, to be honest, but I love Jenna Malone, and that's where the bias is coming from.
I almost did say mall cop, Ashley. You got me. I meant campus security cop. Yep. You got me. So The Ruins I've never seen. I've famously only seen Ms. Malone in 2 movies. One was Neon Demon. She was in that, right?
Yes, she was.
But the other being Hunger Games. Only 2 things
She
I've
was in
seen her
that.
in. Yeah.
And that's fair.
Yeah. So we have her being in this movie. She's in the movie. She survives the movie, but she doesn't do much else. Here's the thing. I also almost want to dock a point from her. So apparently at some point in this movie, she angrily throws vines that hit a young boy, and that leads him to be killed by Mayans. He's only killed because he's touched the vines, and the vines are very infectious, yes? So she hit him with the vines, and then he's killed. I didn't officially dock a point, but I think that's something. She survives a bunch of shit, but she also gets infected by the vines in an alternate ending. What do y'all think in the chat? I don't know. I don't know what your take is on Miss Amy.
My question is this: do the vines directly cause the child's death, or is it set into sequence some events that occur?
So check it
as a
out.
result?
The vines are very infectious, right? So it's terrible. So like the vines will get under their skin and like do some shit.
Okay.
So the Mayans avoid it at all costs. This bitch throws the vines angrily and accidentally hits some kid. So now he's been touched by the infectious vines, and then the Mayans kill him because he's gonna be
like
infected.
immediately, they're like, "Oh, he's infected. He has to go." Okay, yeah, that's not great.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Not great. But you know what? Even if I don't take a point from that, Paris, she still is in the forgettable category. Hasn't done much.
And that's fine. And that is fine. The movie is giving forgettable. It makes sense that the final girl would also be forgettable. And apparently she dies in an alternate ending, so they weren't even that sure about keeping her around.
I do want to point out that Samurai Shy in the chat says, this whole movie made me upset. Ruins was literally peak, don't be a tourist. That feels right.
Just white people going places white people don't belong and doing white people stuff.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Happens every day.
Ashley also said, oh, she was reckless, rude, lose a point. There we go. I think we were all good with her being unforgettable.
Yeah, no one's mad about that.
Now, Paris, you also saw the movie Wreck, the found footage film.
I believe you.
Do you remember? Well, this is the movie that is the original Spanish version of the movie that ended up becoming Jennifer Carpenter
God,
Quarantine.
yes. for some reason I was thinking wreck with a W, like a shipwreck. I don't
Yeah.
know why. Yes,
No,
I have seen this movie. I've seen
record.
both versions.
How do you feel about Angela, the
She
main
was a
reporter?
newscaster. I think while she didn't necessarily do the most to get everyone saved, she was an active participant in the dialogue, and was her main goal was making sure that everybody knew what happened here tonight. And I think that is noble in its own right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think in the next decade, the next stream, we have a lot of goals, a lot of people whose goals is to make sure that evil dies tonight. And she really is just trying to tell a story. You know?
She's trying to make sure that people know what happened, so that, because you can kind of tell the whole time she's like, I think we're all gonna die, but we need to make sure that people know what happened here. And I think that is she's thinking the bigger picture. She's thinking globally, and I think to be able to do that in a time of such crisis, bonus point.
I also want to acknowledge Bob in the chat. Paris, people are so glad that you are alive and that you're joining us. Good to see you, Bob. I'm glad Paris is here
I'm glad
too.
to be alive.
So here's the deal. I did not see all the Rec movies until we saw it for the podcast. She is in 3 movies. She survives 3 movies. She
Wait, so
saves
she
someone.
survived the first one?
Yeah.
Because now that I'm remembering the ending of the first one,
It's questionable, right?
Okay.
I thought she died. If you stopped me there, I would have thought she died. But
absolutely.
canon, she lives. And she
Okay.
also helps vanquish someone later in the franchise.
Good for her. Okay, I'm actually loving that.
Yeah. Here's the other thing, though. She does get possessed. In one movie, so I did dock her half a point for being possessed. And then she does have a hand in 2 non-killers being killed. But either way, she still has solid numbers. Okay. So her solid numbers land her with 7.5 points in the effective category. She's getting shit done.
Okay. I don't hate that for her, because I wouldn't say legend. I don't think we could say legend for her, but I wouldn't say adequate. I think she was a little bit better than adequate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, next on our list is a very special one. Have you seen the 2007 Rob Zombie Halloween?
No.
Probably for the
not.
best. I famously hate this movie.
Yes, you do.
We'll see. Perhaps one day I will be able to watch it and not hate it. I am curious, albeit skeptical, about what he's going to do with the monsters. I do believe it's going to be different from what he usually does, which is encouraging. It does still look kind of shitty. But Halloween 2007, if we remember the 1978 Halloween, we remember Laurie Strode, we remember her being the final girl. Now that I'm thinking about it, why the fuck didn't I include Lindsay Wallace? I gotta correct that one day. We'll add her in the next decade. But looking at Annie Brackett in the 1978 film, she dies in the car, right? He gets her, she gets got. The one thing that I've always said, and will never sway from, Rob Zombie made a brilliant choice of not killing Annie Brackett in the 2007 Halloween. She is beaten within an inch of her life. She's like really fucked up, but she lives. And not only does she live, she's played by Danielle Harris, who is Jamie Lloyd, the second coming of Laurie Strode in the original Halloween franchise, and Halloween 4 and 5. And well, she didn't play her in 6, but Jamie as a character was like the next final girl for Halloween. So getting Danielle Harris to play this role was absolutely brilliant. We have a lot of people who agree with me hating this movie so much. I'm so sorry. Britt, yeah, I get it. I feel you. Ashley says, unfortunately, math won't be on Annie's side. Another reason to hate math. Anything's the only thing I like about this movie. Yeah, the sentiment is there. Annie Brackett, Paris, she was a good friend. She gets all this flack. She goes through this movie, But when you find her in the second movie, in Halloween 2, it turns out that Laurie has now moved in with Annie and her dad. And she, like, you would think there's like a lesbian romance, which I would obviously love. But she's being such a supportive friend. Like, she's been through so much shit and trauma, and she's really just trying to do the most and be the best. So, unfortunately, Annie only has a few points because she's in 2 movies and she only makes it out of one of them. So that technically, mathematically puts her in forgettable.
I have no affiliation to this person. I also forget about her.
Rest in peace to your Annie Brackett, but I'm different. I get it. Yeah, I get it. The next
I
one.
love the journey you two went on together.
Listen, I had to do it for her because her Annie Brackett is probably the best thing to happen. Second best, third best thing to happen to the entire Halloween franchise. It's up there. It's up there. Our next one, though, Paris. This is an early 2000s, or actually, this movie came out the year that we graduated. One Missed Call. Do you recall it?
Oh my God, I remember this movie. Wait, I saw this in theater.
Did you?
I saw this in theaters, yes.
How did that go for you?
I don't remember, but I remember her face, and I'm looking at this thumbnail, and I'm like, I definitely saw this movie, and I remember her being an icon. What was this movie about?
This is the one
Yes.
where you have like a ghost that, ghosts are pissed and they call people, and there's like
Kind of like
the
The Ring, except
choking.
for phone calls.
Yep.
Yes, I do remember.
I think this is the one where the spirit is like a girl who was like evil and fucked up and then died as she was like left alone and was trying to call her mom. So it was a fucked up ghost
The
anyway.
Ring phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that Kristen Bell is in this movie, but actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But this movie for me wasn't spectacular. I'm not sure if you on a rewatch would still feel that way, Paris. Maybe you would.
I got it.
You doubt it? She's basically in the movie and makes it to the end, which puts her at forgettable because she doesn't do a whole... Like, she has to get saved by someone. She does some Scooby-Dooing. Paris, I don't know what your stance is on, like, should we have a detective skills column at some point?
Here's the thing. There was a time in the 2000s where we were remaking Japanese horror, and it was always a Caucasian woman really not minding her own business, going on a sleuthing adventure as if she had any qualifications to do so, and then just making it by on the skin of her teeth. So I don't think we necessarily need to praise that.
Okay, I agree. There she is, unforgettable. Now, next up, we have a young lady from The Hills Have Eyes, 2006. You've seen this.
Oh, for sure. It traumatized me.
Yeah, I saw this movie, and it stopped me from ever watching the original because of how much I hated it. Like, this is the movie where I learned that I could not stomach sexual assault in movies.
Who can?
No. Some people surprisingly can, even though they don't like it. I just generally can't stomach it, period. This movie was a real turnoff for me. But we have Brenda Carter, all right, one of the daughters from the family who's traveling their ways and gets stuck among the hills. We have her as being in the movie, surviving the movie. She doesn't die in her movie. I do credit her with saving the other 3 people. She does have a hand in vanquishing 2 killers, and no one innocent dies at her hand. The interesting thing here is that she was supposed to return in the sequel. Have you ever seen the sequel to this movie?
It's absolutely even worse in every horrible way.
It's absolute trash. Some might say dog shit. I don't know.
I'll
But
say it, dog shit.
yeah, she was supposed to come along and like her character was supposed to be a consultant having encountered the hills, and it didn't work out for that actress specifically to return. But that's neither here nor there because she manages to squeak by with her numbers into effective with 7 points.
Honestly, she did that. She did what she had to do, and she did it well.
And Jake in the chat says that this sequel should have never been made. Yes, this remake was better than the original. Rob agrees that remake for The Hills Have Eyes is better than the original. Ashley, you haven't seen either iteration of The Hills Have Eyes all the way through? That's not bad.
I agree.
Save yourself.
I famously like the remake of this movie more than the original, but the sequel of the remake, rotted to the core. They were like, what if there was more sexual assault
Mm.
for no reason? And I said, no, that's who was in the room that didn't say stop it now.
Well, you weren't in the room. Maybe you could have stopped it then.
I doubt any women were in the room.
That
Decent
is
human.
that is also likely. Next up in happier days, we have Ginger Snaps from 2000. Paris, I don't believe you've seen this one.
I still haven't. It's probably the worst thing I've ever continued to be guilty of is not watching this movie. It seems like something I would love.
So here's the thing. I am realizing that I have definitely seen Ginger Snaps, and I've seen it all the way through. But I've seen it so long ago that I don't really remember much of it because I only have like a few pieces in there, and I haven't seen the sequels. So I think there's a lot to discover here. But here's what our lovely help up and assistance has dug up for us. Bridget is in 3 movies, so is Ginger Snaps and beyond. Survives all 3 movies, saves 3 people, and vanquishes 1 killer. Now here's the thing. She cures one of the guys who's like kind of turned into a situation, like a werewolf situation. She abandons her mother to save her sister and protects a child from a half-turned werewolf. So she did some work, and she also has the trauma of this being her sister. She is held captive at the end of the sequel, and she runs off with her sister in the prequel. There's some weird shit timeline-wise going on in this franchise, but she's done some stuff. She's done some
It
stuff.
sounds like she was thinking about others than just herself, which I think there's bonus points to be had for that.
Paris, you're getting a lot of love in the chat and really just a lot of prayers to actually watch Ginger Snaps.
I know, everyone. I will watch it eventually. But listen, when you're on a horror movie review podcast, you're kind of just like, well, I'll wait till it's on the pod.
That's fair. There's only but so much
And we might
time.
be waiting a while. Yeah. It's going to happen eventually, right?
I think it's going to happen sooner than you think.
I hope so. It's
Wink.
probably already on the dock, and I have full access to this information. I just don't know it.
That's okay. That's fine. Now, Bridget does earn 10 points, which puts her in the legendary category.
Okay. I don't know enough to have any thoughts on that, but it sounds like she is earning and deserving of that title.
Yeah, a lot of people are excited about this. Rob hasn't seen any of the sequels. He assumed they'd be bad. It sounds like Bridget does her stuff. She contributes. She pulls her weight. So we'll see. Next up, though, we have another early 2000s slasher. And this is the movie made famous by Paris Hilton not being a final girl. This is House of Wax from 2005. Paris, what do you recall?
Believe it or not, I've never seen this movie.
Get the fuck out. What?
I know. I probably should, right? We're in like a little patch where it's like, how has Paris not seen this?
That's
And here's
outrageous.
the thing. Just Paris Hilton being in it is camp. It's like, I know there's so much for me to enjoy in this, but I have not seen this. I did listen to the full House of Wax episode though, which I rarely ever do if I haven't seen the movie. But I was like, you know what? Let me hear what happens. So like I know what happens in the end, and like I know all the stuff, at least what I remember. And it sounds like this bitch did what she had to do.
Paris, I'm shook. I'm struck.
I know.
Verklempt, Nathan, crestfallen, if you will. Wow. Okay, so listen, Carly does some stuff. It's her and her brother who was in One Tree Hill and that Cinderella story with Hilary Duff. She's
I
in.
know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. Is it Chad Michael Murray? Is that his name?
It's literally, yeah, that's the name.
Yeah. There's 3.
Good job, Chris. You're a
Thanks.
straight white man.
I try to know a few just to like stay relevant. We
I don't
have.
think Chad Michael Murray's keeping you relevant.
Listen. He did it once upon a time, and he helped out right now. Carly Jones is his sister. She's in this movie. She survives in this movie, and she actually helps save him, and she vanquishes 2 of the killers from this movie, bringing her to a total of 5 points. So she was doing some shit.
Okay. And it was just one movie.
One movie that puts her into
5 points in
adequate.
one movie. Not bad. That's giving adequate.
There are people who make it out with only 2 points. Actually, as we get further down, there are some people who have less than 2 points. Two should be the
And I think
basement.
ultimately, yeah, I think, well, two should be the basement. And yet,
It's not.
life finds a way.
Ashley apparently hates Carly as a character. Ashley, why do you hate Carly as a character? I'd love to know. We'll see.
I imagine every character in the movie is probably a little bit annoying and jarring.
Potentially. Yeah, I think that movie's just made so famous by the Paris Hilton kill that it's hard to recall a lot of its strengths and flaws. I think a lot of the goopy wax figures were super cool. I think there's a lot to like about the movie. But it's one of those, it's like, you see this movie, it's kind of like J-Lo. I see J-Lo in a movie, unless it's Selena, I can't see her as anyone but J-Lo. It's like, I'm just thinking, oh, J-Lo's in this movie. You know what I mean? You kind of get lost in that and wrapped up in that. House of Wax, the only thing in my memory right now is Paris Hilton's kill. And actually, no, someone gets like a little bit of a finger snipped off through a grate. That was fucking gross. The gore was good.
Oh, okay. I'll definitely watch this.
Yeah. Didn't they literally mark it as See Paris Die? Yes, they did, Rob. Yes, they did.
Doing that, yeah.
Now, next up, we have this is a late entry. This is like the 2009 range. So that we're getting at the final, at the far end of this decade. We have a little film called Sorority Row. You had feelings about this.
We do.
You did see this.
I did see it. I think I slashed it, right?
Yeah, we'll see. This is Carly. I would like to think you did because I'm fairly certain there's no
Pretty
reason
sure I
why.
did.
But then whenever I see, I feel positively and affirmatively. I'm thinking, no, Paris will prove me wrong, and this is the one he did out of spite.
I might
Carly.
prove me wrong.
So if we remember Carly, if we remember her doing her thing, she was someone who was one of the girls. The girls did some dumb shit, and then she took her distance. She took her separation. Sorority Row is a movie that famously, like many other movies, starts with a prank gone wrong, and someone
And a
paid
murder
with their
pact.
life. Yeah, it's very Pretty Little Liars.
And here's the thing. I know I'm on the wrong side of history here, but I think a point should be deducted for not being in on the murder pact. Being the one person who's naysaying the whole plan, that's going to ruin everyone's life.
You think so? Being the
Yes,
outsider?
because I think the role would have been a lot better had she just gone along with the murder pact. There wouldn't have been a movie. Nobody would have died. There wouldn't have even needed to be a final girl.
You know what? You're not wrong because she does tell her. Actually, no. Someone else tells the boyfriend. She never told the boyfriend. Another final girl on this list told the boyfriend. Wow. Okay. We got some shit to figure out.
We do.
Okay. So I think we're going to have to revisit this for a future decade. And maybe we can make some mathematical amendments later. Maybe a point deducted for dating the killer. And, you know, maybe for having poor taste. That might be a
That
thing.
wasn't her fault.
I
She
don't
didn't
know.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can take a point. Did Sydney lose a point for dating the killer?
No, but she also killed him. I guess she kind of killed him too. Yeah, you know what? Sydney could lose a point and still come out in legendary. So I think we can take away 1 point from Sydney because she clearly turned that shit around the rest of the franchise. She was getting
fine.
backstabbed by everybody. But then we can also do a murder pact column. Absolutely.
Oh my god, dream murder pact. We need to just like make our dream murder pacts.
Yeah.
Who would you want for a murder pact?
I would trust you to be in my murder pact.
Really?
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
think-
trust you to be in my murder pact.
What?
You're such a goody two shoes. You would rat us out immediately. You would be the weak link. You would cave. Somebody would like tickle you and you'd immediately spill the beans.
Absolutely
You're
not.
not
Okay.
I would be good for yours though.
Thanks. No, I am very much someone who, like, if I trust the right people and like we're in on this, we're fucking in on this. And I believe the ends justify the means in that. But I wouldn't murder
Then you can be
someone.
in mine.
I'm just
Listen, we
offended.
didn't murder them on purpose. That's the whole thing of a murder pact.
Yeah, we're fine. Anyway, getting back to Cassidy, our girl did some shit. She's in the movie. She survives the movie. She saves 2 people. Well, she helps save 2 people, and so that puts her with 4 points into the adequate territory.
Okay. For the movie Sorority Row to have anyone in the adequate tier, that's an achievement. I think they should be proud.
Samurai Shy says that mom and dad should stop fighting.
Listen, this is how we communicate. This is Chris and I's love language. Is brutal honesty.
Oh, we all have to know is that you're the mom and I'm the dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got the pearls to prove it, and I have the
I do.
nice fade. We also have Rob in the chat saying, if I had to murder someone and needed help, Paris would be the first person I would think of.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. I won't be doing any of the physical parts of it. Like you will be carrying the body and doing the digging and whatnot, but I will be strategizing.
Now, speaking of J-Lo, just a moment ago, we have her in as our next final girl, as Catherine Dean from The Cell from the year 2000.
Oh my God, I've never seen The Cell. I didn't realize it was a horror movie, and I didn't realize JLo was wearing this fierce white look in it. Once again, gonna have to add this to my list. What the hell?
Now, is this, do we need like a fierce white look in terms of like an outfit? Like, do we need like a wardrobe column? Like, do you need to
I think we
assess
should
points?
just do like a general hotness. I think we can assign points based on overall hotness, which, as we know, is a 3-pillared quality.
Okay, you will own the point allocation for that column. Absolutely. So we have her as being in the movie, surviving the movie, saving 3 people, and vanquishing a killer. She stops a serial killer spree. That's the shit she does.
That's what that movie's about? That poster is giving like weird alien sci-fi. I had no idea there was a serial killer.
She separates the 2 personalities within the killer's mind, metaphorically saving the most innocent part of him and killing the other.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
She's doing some deep shit. And that is thanks to J.A. Ripley, because I did not dig that deeply into The Cell. So thank you. Really saving our butts here. So really with her points, right? So we have her at a total of 6. That bumps her up into the effective category. Which, you know what? I feel like her going against like someone like Clarice, for example, I think I put my money on her.
Wait, did Clarice land ineffective?
I did not put Clarice in there. It's an
Where's
amendment.
Clarice?
I didn't put her in the 90s stream. I'm so sorry. You weren't here.
We have to start from the beginning. Throw everything in the trash. Clarice, Chris?
I know. Just the lambs wouldn't stop crying.
Oh, now I'm not gonna stop.
Damn, that's a great hot take, Chris. Sorry. Oh man, here we are.
Wow, the Clarice erasure. Well, honestly, if we, spoiler alert, know what happens to Clarice, at least in the ends of the books, I think we can dock some points for that.
I don't. I did take.
Wait, do you get points or lose points if you end up fucking the killer and then just living a life with them happily ever after?
Oh, that's terrible. I did not need to know that. But you lose points for Stockholm Syndrome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it's very that.
Yeah. Fuck that. We need a Clarice rule. We're gonna name it after her. The Clarice rule. The Clarice principle. Jesus. Okay.
Clarice Claus.
Yeah, precisely. Okay. Next up, we have a girl from one of your favorite movies, Final Destination from the year 2000. What can you tell us about Clear Rivers?
Clear Rivers is a legend in my heart because of my love for the franchise Final Destination. In a world where not everyone made it to the sequel that survived, we had a final boy in Final Destination 1, and it was Casper, played by Devon Sawa. And he did not make it to Final Destination 2. And during Final Destination 2, there is a moment where one of our characters is looking up on the internet what happened to the survivors of Flight 180. And if you pause it at the right moment, you can see a newspaper clipping as to what happened to, I think his name was Evan.
Alex.
I want to say Evan.
Alex Brown.
What happened to Alex? He was walking down the street, and a brick fell out of a building and hit him on the head, and that's how he died. And that is why he was not in the sequel. And I think for Clear to avoid such a ridiculous fate and be written out and make it into the sequel, really as our main girl, she kind of comes in and is like, listen, main girl who had the premonition, it's not you, it's me. It's not really about you. I'm going to be giving. I think she really did a lot. She carried that movie, I will say. And I think there's a lot to be said for that.
I love that. That's poetic. It's deep. It's compelling. I am moved in my very bones. There's something I want to say about Clear, and that's that she was better off. We're going to get down to Kimberly Corman in a minute, right? We'll make our way down there alphabetically. But realistically, had it not been for Kimberly, Clear would be still around and kicking. Like, she only got because
Yeah.
she left the room.
Clear had the right idea. She figured it out. She was set.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of people in the chat who have love for Ali Larder, who have love for Clear, who have love for Final Destination. So let's go ahead and break this down. Clear made her appearance in 2 films. She survived one of them, tragically died in the other. But I do credit her with saving a couple folks along the way. She saved Alex once and Carter once. Now, eventually they got, but that was through no fault of her own. Because really, had they just listened to her, things probably would have been fine. She had a good strategy.
And here's the thing. I think we need to give her some points for how many times she saved herself.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Aren't we all just trying to do that at the end of the day? Just trying to save ourselves from the crippling march of time and death. Listen, right now, we can reassess later, but right now, Clear Rivers is inadequate.
And I take umbrage with that.
That's okay. You absolutely can. There's not a problem with that. Make a note. We'll reassess. Next up, though, we have someone who really fucking trips me out. I don't know how I feel about this one. This is Dawn O'Keefe. Do you remember who Dawn O'Keefe is?
If it's giving Dawn O'Teeth, then yes.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Oh my God, wait. Her last name was O'Keefe because Georgia O'Keeffe famously painted pictures of vaginas.
Exactly that.
Brilliant. An underrated detail about the movie Teeth.
It really is. The problem is, okay, so look, all the deaths occur off screen. They end up bleeding out. We see a lot of dick in this movie, right? We see a lot of it. It just kind of gets chomped off. And, our friend Ripley writes, what does a toothed vagina do with ... the stuff it ... eats? The answer Ripley is that it spits it back out and lays it on the carpet, and then a dog will later eat it. This is a weird one. Paris, what are your thoughts on Dawn?
I'm Team Alexis. I think Dawn did nothing wrong. I think Dawn is an icon. I think she represents a lot for a lot of people, and I'm one of those people.
That's
So is
fair.
Alexis.
To be clear, I don't think she did a lot wrong. Like in the movie, in the beginning of it, right? She is someone who is attacked, and that's simply not okay. But the movie itself just gets weird, and I think it handles Dawn very poorly. And the direction that Dawn's character goes in the end, it's weird, man. It's not a fan. Not a fan.
I think harnessing that power for the greater good is exactly what you got to do.
Ashley says, I don't like this movie. Not nearly as entertaining as the premise would suggest. Thanks, Ashley.
That is correct. That's absolutely true. It's not as entertaining as you would think it would be based on the premise.
Rob hasn't seen Teeth. I'm so sorry, Rob. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm glad. You're better for it. Don't bother. Dawn O'Keefe, though, is in her movie. She survives in her movie. She vanquishes... Okay, now we think about number of killers vanquished. Really, she vanquishes predatory men. That's who she vanquishes. So honestly, good on ya. On paper, I should really like this movie. But the feeling of the movie left me feeling real dirty. Didn't like it. I didn't credit her with killing any non-killers. At the end of the movie, she gets in the car with someone, and it's kind of like she has become the predator and not the prey. And then you have to wonder, okay, is she only going after predatory men? Is this person just a creep? Or is this a situation and a circumstance in which she's just kind of gonna do it to whoever? Who knows? Either way, her math lands her inadequate.
Okay, that's fair. Because I think she was dealt a really interesting hand and had to do interesting things as a result of that. Chris, I have a question. Did you see Promising Young Woman?
Not yet. I do plan to.
Okay. I imagine that Dawn grows up to be the woman from Promising Young Woman. And when you watch the first act of that, you'll be like, okay, I see. And in my mind, if that is true, Dawn's an icon. If it ends up being she's the predator and ends up just kind of killing whoever all willy-nilly, I don't love that.
Okay. Did you see Last Night in Soho?
No, but I almost watched it on the plane ride home.
Okay. I was hearing about it the other
I
day.
said it to a child, and I was like, ugh, I can't watch a horror movie with tits next to a child. Get out of here. It was actually really annoying.
I'm sorry that was such a burden on your experience. That's awful.
Why?
You're really brave for living through that.
Well, Alexis would just watch it anyway.
She will watch a horror movie next to a priest, and it can have a lot of sex in it. Let's travel back to 2008, shall we? In Brittany Snow was starred in Prom Night, and she starred as Donna Keppel. Now, let me tell you how sad it was to fill out this row of the spreadsheet, and then thinking about Brittany Snow in Ty West's X 2022. What a vast difference. What a role done right. I think Brittany Snow did this role right. I just think it wasn't the best role ever, you know?
Yeah, I think the character had some opportunities. I think her intuition was right all along, and everybody was like, "No, you're crazy. Just have fun. It's prom." And she was like, "Actually, I think not. I think not." And she was right.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the cool dimension of this film, right? Obviously, this is like a spiritual remake. It's not a real remake. It's kind of like a remake in name only of the original Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis. But I think the predatory angle is a creepy one, a weird one, but an effective one for the killer that they chose. What really makes me sad, though, is the way that Donna was kind of cast aside. Donna is the classic case of what we think about in the forgettable tier. She's in the movie, she makes it to the end of the movie, everyone dies around her, and she's saved. But she doesn't do a whole lot. I mean, the killer's got her at one point, and then she gets rescued, and that makes me real sad. I think Brittany Snow deserved better than this role.
I don't know if at the time that was true.
Really? You really think so?
Yeah. Brittany Snow was giving nothing for a long time. That was her thing.
She gets a lot in my heart.
And then in Pitch Perfect, it was like, oh, Brittany Snow's kind of doing something. That's interesting. She famously doesn't do anything. And that's kind of her thing. And then now we're like, oh my God, we love Brittany Snow. She's incredible. She's really come a long way. But I think at the time, this was a Brittany Snow role.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I
It was
will
like- it
look.
was really Brittany Snow. It's like Caucasian white. Like she was giving milk with butter and bread.
That's
You
accurate.
know, that was her thing. That was her lane. And that was okay.
It's a fair assessment, and I'll stand by it. I'll take that. I will pull a Ryan and look at her discography, and by discography I mean filmography, and see what else she was doing around this time. Our next up, though, is from a movie that I have not seen, and I feel like I should have asked Mac about this movie. This edition comes to us from our friend J.A. Ripley. This is Supernova from the year 2000. Have you seen this movie?
Here's the thing. I don't think anyone has, but if that's Angela Bassett,
It is.
immediately put her in Legendary. No questions asked. Moving on.
Got it. Noted. We'll take a look at this because this is another situation where there's more that's done that has larger ramifications and impacts than is truly mathematically felt. So we can reassess. I do want to point out that anytime I hear the name, the title of the word supernova, all I think about is that one Xenon girl from the
Make my heart go boom boom. You're my supernova girl. Absolutely.
the classic Supernova girl. I was listening to that in my car earlier today, actually.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
that's where it stops. Got it. So we were there, and then we're not there anymore. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
No worries. Dr. Kayla Evers. Yes, back to business. She's in the movie. She makes it to the end of the movie, and she does a little bit along the way. She does more than just survive. So we have her, and this is, think about the terms of her count. She mercifully ends the life of a captain who suffers the negative effects of wormhole travel, and she torpedoes. Yeah. She torpedoes alien artifacts that mutated passengers on the ship. So she saved two people. Yeah, you got to do it. She saved two people. She vanquished a alien situation, and she did mercifully end a life. So there is a number of non-killer killed, but I don't consider that really the same as one of the other people who we have later on in this stream who straight up just abandoned someone and that person died.
Yes, and we know who that is.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Babe, hottie. Here's the thing. I'm looking at the lineup, and we have several doctors coming up, and I think at least a point needs to be awarded for every woman in STEM.
That is absolutely fair. do you want to give a numeric point, or do you want to bump up a tier from wherever they fall?
I think for Angela, we bump up a tier because she gets the bonus from Women in STEM and then the bonus from Angela Bassett. I think that qualifies as a full bump, but I don't know who the others are yet, so we'll wait and see how it pans out for them.
Okay. So here's the thing. Mathematically, Dr. Kayla Evers, Angela Bassett, lands inadequate. But I can agree with Women in STEM. That feels right. And it's Angela Bassett, and I know Ripley won't disagree. Let's move her up to underrated. Normally, we don't put anyone in underrated. Normally, we don't put anyone in underrated until we get to the bias section, but fuck it, let's go.
And at this point, we're really just looking at the facts. Neither of us have seen this movie. This is not even really a bias.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Next up, we have Doctor. We have Dr. Catherine Jennings. We have Lena Headey.
Oh my God, Lena Headey?
Yes. I
wish
wish
from Game of Thrones.
Yes, also that one lesbian from Imagine Me and You, my favorite lesbian movie. That's where I know her from. And The Purge.
Wait, there's a lesbian movie with, can you send me that? Because
yes, and it's amazing.
I'm obsessed with her.
I have told you about this movie several times. You have made fun of me on the podcast about it. It's called Imagine Me and You. It's with that chick Piper so-and-so. Yeah, it's with that.
Chapman.
Yeah. The one from fucking Coyote Ugly. There you go. So, Dr. Okay. Catherine Jennings. Dr. Catherine Jennings is from the movie The Cave. Have you seen The Cave?
No, but wasn't it a knockoff of The Descent?
Is it? Couldn't tell you because I hadn't seen The Descent.
The poster's giving knockoff, but it looks like it's a different antagonist.
Okay. Well, this movie looks...
Bunch of lesbians in a cave.
This movie arguably looks just as wet, but less bloody.
Not wet.
And bloody. Okay, it works in a couple different ways. Oh my God.
Oh, get my head bloody.
Well, that went a direction. So we have Dr. Catherine Jennings, who spells her name in a great way. She's in the movie. She survives in the movie. Don't have her doing anything else, but check this out. She manages to survive and escape, but she ends up being a host to the organism that mutated anyone exposed to it in the caves. So that's problematic. A dive team and scientists document the discovery of a new cave system and become prey to terrifying creatures that dwell there. So it's The Descent, but with professionals who have a reason to be there besides bad friendship.
And I love that as a plot device.
Yeah, okay. So mathematically, Paris, it's up to you. Her math puts her in forgettable.
And here's the thing, I think she's going to stay there.
Okay.
Becoming a host to the thing and then bringing it into the outside world, I don't love that. That's not great.
Yeah.
I think if she was really a woman in STEM, she would be like, hey, listen, if I'm the host, I should stay in this cave and die alone.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Maybe one day I'll watch the movie. Maybe she does die in the cave. Maybe she's almost Juno-dation.
She still gets the women in STEM bonus point, but it's not enough for her. Not today.
Okay. Fantastic. It does only keep her, that would put her at 3 points instead of 2. Still unforgettable. So the next one we have up is from Doom 2005. Now, I love Doom the video game. I have seen Doom the movie maybe like once. This is the movie that has The Rock in it, yeah? Probably.
Yes.
I don't remember this final girl, so we had to get some reinforcements. This is Dr. Sam Grimm. She's in the movie, she survives in the movie, and then she gets some extra points. So, from what we gather, she's sent into an infested research facility with her brother and his crew of Marines to retrieve company data and uncover the events that led to its destruction, and it happens on Mars. So that is complicated. That's a situation to walk into. She revives her brother, she kills a creature using a nano wall, and she helps save Earth with her brother. So, she saved a life and then helped that life get back on its feet to save the Earth. I think that's pretty cool. That's some stuff.
I think that is the highest achievement you can hope for as a woman in STEM. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Using science to save the entire planet, that's where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Nobel Peace Prize, all the awards, the Peabody, maybe Oscar, Tony, go full EGOT. And also we can't not mention that it's Rosamund Pike.
Oh,
Rosamund Pike.
famous Gone Girl.
Iconic. Famed Gone Girl. Missing, but not dead. Not yet. You know they're going to do a sequel? Well, here's the thing. Gillian Flynn is like talking about how she's going to write a sequel. She's thinking about 13 years after the release of the first one. And I'm like, that'll be so fun.
Is she still married to Ben Affleck?
I would hope so. She's manipulated her way this far.
We'll see. Rosamund Pike, listen, with all the work that she's done, that puts her at 4 points, which puts her in adequate territory. And I'll give you the deliberation of women in STEM. Does she stay inadequate?
No, she's the most woman in STEM.
So she's
the
underrated.
STEMiest woman in STEM.
So she's above
underrated.
Angela Bassett.
No, she's with Angela Bassett.
Okay.
She's in good company with Angela Bassett.
Okay, so not before Angela Bassett, after.
We're rating within the tiers?
We can.
I don't want to.
Okay, that's fine. We'll figure it out in a later stream.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, next up,
I think the tier is where it is. They're underrated, and they're there together holding hands, talking about science.
Respect. We don't have to compete with each other. That's
Exactly.
feminism. We have Ellie Morris. We have Ellie Morris from Sorority Row. Now, this is Rumor Willis.
No, okay, you skipped over Ellie. Oh, okay, you're doing Ellie Moore. Okay, sorry, go ahead. Yes.
Alphabetically, for some reason, Ellie Morris comes up first. So we have Ellie Morris from Sorority Row, famous Rumor Willis. This is where it gets a little complicated because there's a critical plot point that I completely forgot about as I was filling this out. She's in the movie. She survives the movie. She really has a boss moment where she stops being the person who's scared and she fucking takes charge. She saves 2 people. So she is an active participant alongside Cassidy and arguably takes a little bit more charge at the end. And she actually is the one who vanquishes the killer in the movie. But then I forgot that she's also the reason why the murder pact was broken because she talked about it.
Yeah.
Other people did
This is
too.
famously all her fault. She spread a rumor.
Yeah.
And that's not just her name.
So that was honestly, it was great. So Rumor Willis as Ellie Morris gets 5 points. I can't believe that I completely forgot about this being her fault. It's very Pretty Little Liars, except you done fucked up.
She's Mona.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so sad. She has 5 points. The question is, do we deduct a point for it being her
Yes,
fault?
we deduct a point for betraying your sisters. Absolutely deducting a point for that. And also, she was just annoying the whole time.
Solidarity is one of the tenets of sisterhood, and she lost it. So we're going to go to forgettable.
Yes, let's put her in forgettable. I want to forget. But also,
Okay.
wasn't secrecy one of the tenets of sisterhood?
Yes, it was. Secrecy and solidarity.
Like homicide, that was the other tenet.
Yeah.
Those
Manslaughter.
tenets were a little, a little dicey.
Just a touch. Now, next up, we have Christina Ricci in a role that I am not entirely familiar with, but it's a werewolf movie. It's Cursed from 2005.
Now, here's the thing. Anytime I find out that there's a Christina Ricci project that I have not seen, I scold myself personally because that's on me. That is on me.
Don't worry, we're not alone because Sage with Lime Juice in the chat has a little eyeball face and is like, me who hasn't seen most, if not all, the movies they went over. Don't worry, Sage. There are over 70 Final Girls in this ranking, and we're missing quite a few of them, right? Paris and I combined, have not seen all of these movies. Now, Ellie's done some stuff, right? Christina Ricci, obviously famed. She's in such a wide variety of things. She's a great Wednesday Addams. She also played a rendition of Lizzie Borden. Oh my gosh, could I imagine her Lizzie Borden opposite Kristen Stewart as a maid? What a dream that would be.
Okay, but fuck Chloe.
I mean,
I think
love
they can
Chloe.
make room for a throuple.
Coexist, do whatever you want, but I just want Christina Ricci in there. So she's in her movie, she survives her movie, and then looking into this, Ripley writes, there are weird tropes about sexuality in this movie, but hey, there's Joshua Jackson again. Joshua Jackson we saw in the 90s stream in Urban Legend. And it looks like, in terms of what she contributes, she decapitates her werewolf boyfriend with a shovel, lures another werewolf into the open to be shot and killed. That's impressive.
Okay.
That
Are we
feels
gonna
like.
dock a point because she was dating the killer?
I mean, we haven't officially built that into the system.
Good. I don't think we should continue to do that, even though I keep bringing it up.
That's okay. So she gets 2 people saved and 2 killers vanquished. That puts her at a total of 6 points, which bumps her up to the effective category.
Honestly, it's Christina Ricci. I can't imagine her being ineffective in anything she does.
She's
Except maybe that movie where she has a pig nose. Like, what was that?
famed, competent woman, Christina Ricci. Love that. Nathan says, Curse is a rite of passage for Scream fans, the Wes Craven, Kevin Williamson combo. That feels encouraging. I can get into that.
I have to say, Ashley in the chat wrote, "Don't watch Black Snake Moan." Ashley, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. I did so much in my life because of that movie.
Wow. Okay. I
It-
haven't seen it.
I think you would hate it probably because I love it. But
Feels right.
I think, actually, yeah, no, well, it's like.
If it's like Neon Demon, no fucking thank you.
It's not necessarily. It might be worse for you in different ways.
Lost me at the necessarily. Not doing it.
Because it doesn't touch on any of the horrible things that they touch on in Neon Demon for no reason. It's like 2 unlikely friends go on an adventure.
So it's us with adventures. There's terrible things. I don't think I should watch it. You're absolutely right, Samurai Shy. Oh my god, this feels like a trap. Absolutely, I can see the trap on Paris's face. So we're gonna move on to a different kind of trap, and that trap is the one that Erin Hardesty from the 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre found herself in when she was traveling in a van down a long Texas road. Wow, let me tell you, this is my Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
This is mine as well.
I think we can all acknowledge the pain of the moment that Kemper bites it and his face is chopped off, and then Leatherface dons it later and she has to confront that. Kemper, who was going to propose to her, and we see the engagement ring that was found. So sad. Now, she's in her movie, she survives in her movie, and there's a couple things that happen here. One, she's technically responsible for someone who's not a killer dying. We'll unpack that in just a moment. She does vanquish a killer, and I give her 1.5 points for helping save people. So this is another one where she ends someone's suffering. We think about mercy kills, right? She ends Andy's suffering, and she did attempt to save Morgan, but he was eventually caught, and she saves the baby. I think I gave the baby a 0.5 point.
Well, a baby is a full person.
Yeah. Maybe it was a 0.5 point for saving Morgan and then him dying anyway. Either way, she gets 1.5 points in the save category.
Can
And
we throw her an extra 0.5 point for keeping that tank top bleach white from beginning to end?
absolutely, absolutely we can. It doesn't change where she falls, but it's okay. I also want to acknowledge that she does cut off Leatherface's arm, so good for her.
Somebody had to do it.
It's more than Sally Hardesty did. Sally Hardesty, who famously just survived and ran, and Leatherface cut his own leg with the chainsaw. At least she did something. At least Erin did something. So with her points, that puts her into the adequate territory.
That's fair. I feel like it's a little underrated, but that might be personal bias because I just feel like Jessica Biel was like a quintessential, like picturesque final girl in that movie. She went through hell and back and really took some people down with her on her way and lived to tell the tale.
That's true. That's true. And I think it's interesting that Rob in the chat says, this is a fight I feel like I never stop having, along with people insisting that the Final Destination movies are good. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake is an average movie at best.
Okay. That feels personal, Rob. I can't help but feel attacked by that. And that's okay. I still love you.
It's rough. If For Real Final Destination is the most effective movie ever made. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's like psychologically altering. We've talked about the trauma that comes from Final Destination. That shit's wild. Let's see. Samurai Shy agrees with you. AO Fax Paris talking about that tank top being bleach white. Solid stuff all around. Big fan of Aaron, and honestly, one of my favorite roles that Jessica Biel has been in. Good stuff.
I have to say the only good thing I know Jessica Biel from. She was in Seventh Heaven, she was in this, and that is all I know of her. Oh, but she's married to Justin Timberlake, which is like, ugh.
Minus 10 points for that. Let's move
Oh, I
on.
know.
Ugh,
Okay.
she deserves better, honestly. Fuck Justin
Now, who
Timberlake.
is this next one? Because I love this thumbnail.
This is from Urban Legends Bloody Mary. So she is someone who got involved because she really just loves urban legends, and she stops Bill Owens from murdering the other final girl in this movie. Now, this is a movie that we talked about Urban Legend, we talked about Urban Legend Final Cut. This is the third Urban Legend film that is Urban Legends, and it's where we get supernatural instead of slasher. So Grace Taylor is a character who encounters some urban legend shit back in the day, and then she's kind of called upon when the current final girl is squaring up with some stuff, right? And so the two of them together take on the task of the movie. Now, the thing is, mathematically, and I haven't seen the movie, so I can't speak to it. If you out there have seen this movie, Urban Legends Bloody Mary, please drop in the chat. Let us know what your take is. Mathematically, we have Grace being in the movie, we have her surviving the movie, and we have her helping save one person in the movie. And so that gives her 3 points, which puts her into forgettable. But I think it's because the movie's forgettable.
It also sounds like mathematically her performance was also forgettable.
Well, her contributions, yes. But she probably also had to put up with a lot of bullshit and carry the weight of another final girl. So,
She probably did.
who knows? Rob says this movie's absolutely terrible. It has nothing to do with the other two at all. It's not even a slasher. Whew.
Interesting.
Rob, Sage the Lime Juice says, okay, but do you drive behind a log truck? Because after Final Destination 2, nobody's driving behind those. Absolutely, you're correct. Taylor, you also think that Urban Legends Bloody Mary is a total bust? Fantastic. It sounds like we're not missing shit, Bears.
Yeah, I won't be seeing this.
The next one is
Sorry
from...
to Greg.
The next one we have is from 2008, and it's the movie Shudder. I vaguely recall this movie. Vaguely.
That's all I'm getting right now as well. Shutter as in Shutter.
Yeah, like the shutter of a camera. Not the shuddering.
I'm certain I probably saw this in theaters. Oh, it was another remake of a Japanese horror movie. There was a moment in time. Oh, wait, I remember this one. I remember this one.
Tell me
oh my
about
God.
it.
Okay,
Let's
so
hear
basically, and this is gonna be spoilers. Basically, the whole time, like I think he's like a photographer or something. He feels like there's like ghost haunting him. He's like having visions or whatever. I don't remember there being a woman in this at all, except the ghost. And then in the end, he has these like marks on his shoulders, and it's like blah 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 blah. And then in the end, he like something happens, and he like takes a magic photo or something, and he gets a picture of it, and the demon has been on his shoulders and on his back the entire time.
Not taking a magic photo.
Yeah, you know how these things go.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. Jane is not targeted by the spirit who is focused on vengeance. Jane is smart, and she dumps her terrible boyfriend. These are great points. I feel like if we were to have a column for dating the killer and Stockholm Syndrome and all that, we would also have a column for women who make brilliant decisions regarding their shitty partners. And it sounds like Jane would, she'd fall into the latter. But really, the comment and the takeaway from the movie Shudder is, Joshua Jackson, what are you doing here again? Being awful. So really, Jane is defined by many things. She's not defined by her boyfriend, but still, this is a classic case of being in the movie, making it to the end, which I think is so often the case with supernatural movies. And she has 2 points into the forgettable category.
Yeah, like I said, I do not remember there being a woman in this movie at all, except for the ghost herself.
That's fair. Now, the next one is interesting. The next one is from the movie Triangle, 2009. Have you seen this?
No, but it wasn't that movie about the Bermuda Triangle?
This is an Australian film. And it is a situation where a woman finds herself on a ship and stuck in a time warp. This was the mind fuckiest movie. I took a stab at researching this. Ripley took a stab at researching this. And really, we found some questionable things. So, we have our 2 base points, right? We have is in the movie, survives the movie. But here's the thing. The film depicts, and please, if you out there have seen this movie, hop in the chat, break this down with us. The film depicts countless versions of her killing and dying. Think about, we talked about Tree, Happy Death Day, right? This is that, but different, right? It's like Happy Death Day adjacent. While this could categorize her as the villain, she's the only person actively trying to break the cycle, only to be trapped by it. And the body count is infinitely higher than what we have here. Okay? In terms of count, we have she kills 3 versions of herself. She kills Victor out of self-defense. She kills a loop version of some guy named Greg, Sally, and Downey. She kills her son. This follows a loop version of Jess that the film focuses on from start to finish, and it implies earlier and later versions of Jess from other loops kill the others many times. So it's a big fucking circle of death, right? And I think narratively, when you watch this movie, you probably get to the point where you think, oh, okay, it's over. And then you realize that she's just part of that vicious cycle. So it's weird. It's like, is she? Is she a final girl? Is she trapped?
It's giving forgettable.
What?
It's giving forgettable for the sake of let's move on, because this is a lot of work. Neither of us have seen this. The math is confusing. No one knows her.
So here's
no one's gonna be like, oh, remember Jess from Triangle? No impact. She made no waves.
Okay, so I think the chat disagrees with you. I'm gonna give you a minute to review that while I break down the numbers here. We have her being in the movie, surviving in the movie. There are your 2 base points. She has 3 killers vanquished. But then it gets weird because the number of non-killers killed, depending if you're talking about like loop versions of her and other people, you have 8, but technically it's infinite because it's just a circle of time. It's weird.
Is there like one canon version of her that we can use
There's
as the barometer?
Yeah, there is one that we kind of follow, and that version has earned 5 points, and that puts her into the adequate territory.
That's fine. I have no problems with that because it sounds like she went through a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, she deserves to not be forgettable. And hey, Britt says definitely not forgettable. Jake says not forgettable. Rob says Triangle's good. I don't remember it at all.
Did we
that
watch Triangle? Like,
no, we haven't.
Tell us if we should watch Triangle.
Yeah,
no, I said, should we?
Oh, one of our listeners in Australia has actually written in and recommended Triangle in the past, so we probably should at some point.
Also, like, remember when the Bermuda Triangle was a thing in the culture and now nobody talks about it anymore? It's just like crop circles.
No one thinks about crop circles anymore.
Yeah, nobody talks about them anymore. They don't happen anymore, allegedly. And I guess the Bermuda Triangle just isn't sucking people away anymore.
Oh, that's
now,
bad.
That's my job.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. I have okay, next up, we're gonna move right along, you sucking people up.
Okay.
We have Jess. Or Jessie
What?
from Wrong Turn.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen this
Eliza
movie.
Dushku.
Eliza
Of
Dushku.
course.
We can't overstate Eliza Dushku. What is your impression? What does your gut say when you're to think about Jessie Burlingame from Wrong Turn? Where do you think she would fall?
Here's the thing. In my mind, and I know we just recently watched this, and yet I recall nearly nothing. In my mind, she has to at least be adequate. At least. Maybe effective. I think there's a possibility that she could be under effective. Oh, wait. Because there's so many sequels. Is she legend? Tell me.
She's not. She's in her one movie. She is in her one movie. The rest of the Wrong Turn movies are of different people.
Okay.
Here's what's disappointing. I too feel like she should be adequate. I too feel like she should be effective. She has been on such an emotional journey. Her friends are out there friending. Like, they're being a good support system. When you look at the play-by-play, she's been through a lot of shit, but she surprisingly didn't kill anyone. And Chris, the guy in the movie, is credited as saving her because there's a point where she's tied up. She actually didn't do much except make it from the end. Make it to the end from the beginning.
Okay, that is my personal bias.
Yeah, it
And
feels
I
wrong.
acknowledge that.
No, it
It
feels
feels
wrong.
wrong. I feel like she did more.
That's
Like,
okay.
why were her arms so toned if she wasn't killing anybody? You know,
She
she
was
had such final girl energy. You know what it was? It was a brunette woman in a white tank top. That was the final girl in the
classic.
2000s. It was a brunette woman in a white tank top. Whereas famously, final girls had typically been blonde. They were never wearing tank tops. And now this was who she was. She was Jessica Biel. She was Eliza Dushku. She was a couple other people on this list who we're going to get to.
I think a brunette in a white tank top is a great way to describe the situation for what it is. She's just an iconic memory. She really just leaves an impression on you. And so many people have talked about this, right? Jake, I hope you have a great night. Thank you so much. Jake, actually, with Strange Kids Music, made our new stream song. You're not listening to it right now. You'll hear it later when we end or on a break. Good night to you, Jake. But we have so much, right? We have Ashley saying beautiful badass queen. Rob says I would say she should be effective, but her body count is low and the math is gonna screw her over. It's true. But Taylor says she doesn't in style though, in the tattoo. I think, as the gays, we love a good Eliza Dushku. And that's okay.
Taylor, are you thinking of the tattoo from Bring It On? What tattoo? The tattoo scene where she licks the tattoo off with a middle finger?
Oh gosh,
Or
okay.
does she have a tattoo in this movie?
There are things to consider.
We'll circle back.
We'll see. I think in my heart, in my bias heart, I have room for Jessie to be higher up on the list. But we'll get there.
I do too.
We'll see how things shake out. Our next one up is from a little film called When a Stranger Calls. Now, this is, I think, the first time we run into this tonight. This is our first actual, remake of a very well-known film. You've seen When a Stranger Calls?
I would like to share a traumatic story.
I would
related
love
the
to hear
film
it.
When a Stranger Calls.
Please.
My best friend Catherine and I went to see this in theaters, and we arrived pretty late to the theater on a Friday night. I think it was opening weekend for this movie. I had to sit on the far, far, far right, near the aisle, towards the front. I know. And it was so horrible. It was such a shit seat that I was like, why did they make these seats? Why did they put these seats here? And I almost was like, Catherine, can we just go? I can't do this. And I didn't. I was like, you know what? We're here, whatever. What the fuck? I'll watch it. But that really stuck with me to the point where now I will always be at the theater at least 20 minutes early. Now, thank God you can reserve your seats ahead of time because I can't do it. I won't do it again. It was a full theater and those were the only seats and they were shit seats, bitch. I could not. So I did see the movie, but it was under bad circumstances.
It was under duress, it sounds like.
It really was.
That's how I saw the last new theatrical release we had in theaters. I was sitting in a row of seats that was completely broken, and if I were Alexis's height, I wouldn't have been able to see the screen.
Oh, God. Unacceptable.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. But When a Stranger Calls is an interesting case. It's from 2006. It's Jill Johnson, and I loved the original film. Now, the great thing about this film, and we talk about, I believe Jill Johnson, I actually moved up into the underrated section in the 70s and 80s stream. The first and last 15, 20 minutes of When a Stranger Calls is terrifying. It is like the spookiest shit. It's like the best representation of tension in cinema. It's so good. And then these motherfuckers had the idea of what if we just took the first 20 minutes and made it all the minutes? And it is a good idea. This is a competent movie, methinks. So looking at Jill Johnson, she does some stuff. She's in the movie, she makes it to the end of the movie, and she fights back. She doesn't vanquish a killer, but she does disarm him in time for him to be arrested by the police, which feels amazing. And unlike the original Jill Johnson, she saves her kids.
She does. Babysitter of the year.
Absolutely. She's a regular Laurie Strode. Arguably a better Laurie Strode than the Laurie Strode we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. But we have Jill Johnson at a total of 4 points, which puts her into the adequate territory.
Okay, she didn't have a lot to work with. It was a very limited scene. It was one house, it was one antagonist. They didn't go anywhere. It was a cat and mouse. I think adequate is fair. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I love Camila Bell so much. So, good for her.
Excellent stuff. Now, we are going to get a little spicy here because this one might be controversial. We have Juno from The Descent from 2005.
Hashtag justice for Juno.
Absolutely.
Hashtag Juno, you would have done the same.
Mm-hmm. You can't make me laugh like this with my terrible lungs. I just also want to point out that Taylor shared that this movie scared the shit out of me as a kid. I'm presuming When a Stranger Calls. Plus, the T Swift has a song about her where she says she's only good on the mattress. Okay.
About Camila Bell.
What? No.
Rude.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Sage, you agree Juno was done dirty. Juno deserved better. But here's the thing. Were we to stop at The Descent and not continue on in the franchise, we would have presumed that Juno bit the dust. Despite really having a great body count, really doing a lot in the first film, and having her flaws, let's admit. Honestly, if I too were a final girl on this spreadsheet and we had the column of bad partner choices in Stockholm Syndrome, I'd be simping for Judo and I'd have points deducted for me. I get it. I acknowledge this. But looking at Juno, she, as we learn in the second movie, she actually lived. She survived. She made it through that bullshit after Sarah left her ass behind. She was killing the crawlers in the cave. And really, we have to remember that she went back for Sarah. Like, she could have just probably tried to hightail it. But when she had the opportunity to leave, she didn't want to leave Sarah behind. So I have her as killing a shit ton of crawlers, and there are a few pages that acknowledge the math and how this breaks down, but her official count is she's in 2 movies, she survives 1 movie, she's killed in 1 movie, so she does eventually die, and she tragically is no longer with us. She does save 1 person, she does kill or vanquish, at least that we can see on screen, and we know that it's more because of the time that's elapsed between the first and second movie, but we see on screen that she's vanquished 9 killers. And I do have even a point deducted for this situation where she mistakenly killed someone and ran. Mm-hmm. Well, almost killed, mostly killed someone.
Yeah, we would have loved it if she just finished the job. But, you know, what do you do in a moment like that? You accidentally pierce your good friend through the jugular with an ice pick.
Accidentally,
in a moment of adrenaline survival, and you're like, oh fuck, what do I do? Who wouldn't run, you know?
Yeah, it's real.
I just want to get out of that situation.
She's the every woman, really. Juno, yeah. Juno is, even with that, at a total of 12 points, and guess where that puts her?
Legendary?
It puts her in legendary.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that feels right.
Absolutely.
This is the justice for Juno. We've been waiting.
Absolutely.
She did that.
She did.
She did that whole movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She got them into the mess. Yes. If there was a point for it's all your fault, yes. But also, it was also Sarah's fault because Sarah had a little panic attack and caused the cave in. Just saying.
And Sarah made it about a man. It wasn't about a man. And Sarah made it about a man.
Never mind. Yeah. Okay. Again, Juno has her flaws. We're not saying she doesn't. But yes, Sarah made it about a man. Let's move on, shall we? We have our girl, different Sarah. This one, the Michelle Gellar herself, Karen from The Grudge 2004.
Here's the thing. I love Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Mm-hmm.
This movie was shit.
I hate this movie.
It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember Karen doing anything worthwhile.
Really?
She should have gotten. Didn't she buy this house? What was she even doing in this house? I don't remember.
Mm-hmm,
Didn't make sense at the time. Probably wouldn't make sense to me now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Ripley had some notes on this one. Paris, are you ready for this?
I am not.
First, yeah, you shouldn't be because this is kind of fucking hilarious. She's in the movie, she survives the movie, and she does a little bit more than that. She ends up with a total of 4 points, which I'll explain here. Karen's attempts to save people are thwarted by their sheer stupidity and getting themselves killed anyway. Yeah. Actually, as it turns out, it wasn't just the base point. She's in 3 movies. She survives 2 of them, and she's killed in 1. She doesn't actually save anyone because they do get themselves killed. But here's the real takeaway here. The comment from Ripley. Why do white people think they can escape curses, bro? Karen appears in an animated film between the sequels, but falls victim to curse during the first act of the second film. You can't escape the curse. The shit's there. It's coming. Just be at peace with it.
And it's like watching you struggle with it is hard for me as a viewer.
Yeah, that's fair. However, she just like lasted a long time, and so her 4 points get her into adequate territory. Is it deserved? Who knows? But I do think
sounds like it kind of was.
I think it makes up for Sarah Michelle Gellar getting killed in both Scream 2 and I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think she deserved to win one. You know.
Actually, I absolutely agree with that, and I don't think it would be fair to call any of her performances forgettable.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But let's take a look at our next one, which is Orphan from 2009. You've seen this movie?
Okay, yes, I have. I was wondering why the woman from The Conjuring was on this.
Mm-hmm. And also, famously, Norma Bates. She is Norman Bates' mother. You didn't know this? In the show Bates Motel.
Okay, yes. I have seen a snippet of that, and she was there.
Mm-hmm. She is fantastic. So this is a movie in which she's in it. She survives. She also saves someone, and she vanquishes the grown-ass adult who is apparently a child.
Does she? Because this movie's getting a sequel, or is it a prequel?
It's a prequel.
Okay, never mind. I'll shut the fuck up.
But here's the thing. She saves Max. She kicks Lena, who's Esther, in the face, breaks her neck, and sends her back into the fucking frozen pond. And not only does she do that, she does that while saying, "I'm not your fucking mommy." This woman,
yes.
Amazing.
That moment is memorable. Certainly not forgettable.
Yeah.
Maybe adequate.
Exactly adequate. She somehow scored exactly as many points in one movie as Sarah Michelle Gellar did in 4 or 3. Yeah.
Oh, and I have a feeling that actress is going to continue to perform well as we move on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We do have another early 2000s slasher, though. This is a movie that you loved, Valentine from 2001.
Wait, is that Heather Graham?
Mm-hmm.
She was in Valentine?
The main girl? I couldn't tell you if it's Heather
Wasn't
Graham.
Let me see. Listeners, we're doing some research. A quick little. Oh, Marley Shelton, who famously is Heather Graham. Okay. Literally, they are exactly the same. Denise Richards, David Boreanaz. Yeah. This final girl, to me, I will be honest, I don't really remember her specifically as much as I remember this movie overall. Didn't she date the killer?
Sure
and then
did.
get duped to the very last end?
Yep, she sure did. Speaking of David Boreanaz, have you ever seen Bones?
No, but I've seen his bones.
Okay, I was just talking
You ever
about
see
how.
that video?
No, don't know that I want to now that you say that.
It exists, listeners. If you're a fan of Buffy, check it out.
So Kate Davies from Valentine 2001. This is the girl who the killer is obsessed with in the beginning. Some pranks are done. He's bullied. He kills all her friends. Denise Richards,
He grows up to
arguably.
be hot and then kills all her friends. That's important.
That's true. Arguably, Denise Richards is the better final girl. Should have been the final girl.
Yes.
And here we are. It was stolen from her by Kate Davies. Kate Davies, who does nothing more than be in the movie and survive to the end of the movie. Because really, there's a situation where he frames one of her friends as the killer. And she ends up getting killed. And he kind of like creates this whole situation where it looks like he saved the day, which is tragic. So not only did she date the killer, not only did she fall for his bullshit, but she also turned on a friend. I mean, granted, this wasn't a good friend, but she turned on another woman in the process. So forgettable. 2 points.
Yeah. She has not remembered the tenets of sisterhood. And while I did enjoy that movie, she was not what I enjoyed about it necessarily.
Let's talk about another movie that you did enjoy, though. And that is from 2006, the Black Christmas remake.
I had to tell the chat about the David Boreanaz sex tape.
Oh, hello.
Yes, the Black Christmas remake, the
Hmm.
only Black Christmas that I enjoyed, uh, because it was fun. It was fun and it was stupid and it was an entertaining time. And Michelle Trachtenberg got an ice skate death, which is iconic. There's an icicle death, which makes no sense at all, but is iconic. There's
Mm.
a lot to it. Gretchen Wieners. Anyway.
So many things in this movie.
Mhm.
Looking at this, I hate this movie. I stand by
Yes.
hating it. I'll never not hate it. It is right there with Halloween 2007, except less offensive because I loved Halloween a little bit more and expected a little bit more. But this movie, we have Kelly Presley. She's in the movie. She makes it to the end. And she killed Agnes with a defibrillator. And she pushed Billy over a railing, which then propelled him on top of a tree. She did a lot. And she had
She
a shitty
did.
boyfriend.
And this is one of those movies that should have ended 5 times, and she kept ending it. Just when it was like, oh, it's not over, bitch. She was like, well, you know what? Now it is. And it's like,
Yeah.
actually, it's not. She's like, well, how about now?
Yeah.
So she had an answer for everything.
Yeah. They kept trying to insert semicolons and she kept putting a period. She really tried.
Yes, she did.
Mhm.
And then they
So,
just put a little comma under that period to make it another semicolon.
exactly.
The
So,
writing was bad.
oh, God. With her 4 points, she has moved up to the adequate territory.
Sure.
Yeah. It feels right. It feels justified, I think.
Yeah, for everything she went through, even in just the last 15 minutes of that movie, adequate is fair.
Absolutely. So, our next one, though, and I don't know if our. Oh, wait. Hot take Black Christmas 2006 is more entertaining than the original. Sage, no, absolutely not for me. I
agree
side,
with you.
yeah, of course. Okay, wait, hold on. Are Sage and Rob the new Paris and Chris?
They might be. They might be. Should they kiss?
Definitely not.
Should we?
Maybe. Britt can't stand the movie, so I feel good about that. The original Black Christmas is iconic. I'll take none of this slander. I actually just got my first vinyl, Paris, and it is the Black Christmas soundtrack.
Good for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, what a deeper cut would have been getting the vinyl that they played in the original Black Christmas movie.
Fuck you. Now I'm gonna
Whatever
have to
that
look
was.
Now I'm gonna have to look for it. I will get a deeper cut, which is the sweater that Jess Bradford wears in the original Black Christmas that has the hands over the.
Cute fucking sweater.
Yeah. Alexis wants to buy that one. I'll buy it for you for Christmas. So our next girl up is the famed Kimberly Corman. What are your thoughts
Kimberly
here,
Corman.
Paris?
Green means go, Kimmy. Listen, a dumb bitch after my own heart. She kind of just dumb bitches her way through the whole thing. Always shows up a minute too late. Never quite saves anybody from anything. Somehow survives, even though, I mean, I think with that final scene, we could have implied maybe that they all died. I think everyone at that picnic table, we could have just killed them off. It's not like we're going to return to those characters. Once you get rid of Clear, you kind of just need to wipe the whole slate clean. Like, we don't need Kimberly Corman anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So technically she is a final girl. I don't think she was the final girl of that movie in the same way that Denise Richards was the true final girl of Valentine. Clear Rivers was the true final girl of Final Destination 2, despite absolutely dying. Kimberly Corman is weak sauce to me. However, she's the anchor. She's the what's that thing called where there's somebody in the movie that you self-insert into, you relate to them.
You've asked me this like 9 times, and I never know. And I need to remember what the answer is.
Is it Cypher? I don't think it's Cypher.
Cypher,
She is the
siphon, vessel.
Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar.
She's the vessel. She's absolutely an empty vessel that you can self-insert into, and she's what anchors you through the story, despite providing almost nothing at all.
Ashley contributes. Kimberly gives best friend energy, not main character energy, and I agree with that. And we have to wonder, how many of us feel like the best friend energy in our own lives instead of the main character? That's the shit to think
Not
about.
me.
No, you're always the main character, even if it's not your life. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's one of your star qualities. Kimberly Corman, check this out. She's in the movie. She makes it to the end of the movie. She technically saves Thomas Burke, but I kind of want to take that point away from her because had it not been for her, Clear Rivers would still be alive. Even if I don't deduct that point, she's safely in the forgettable category.
Even though I just said a bunch of horrible things about her, that does still hurt. but I think objectively forgettable is fair. And also, she should be losing points because she fucked up one of her premonitions and it caused more people to die than necessary.
That is absolutely accurate. You know what? She is the real villain.
Her own psychic abilities.
Death is out
Well,
here.
she
Yeah,
was an
Death.
agent of chaos, if there was one.
Death is out here with a well-organized plan, a route, an egress route, a presentation, an order of operations and events, and Kimberly Corbin is the one who's kind of phoning it in, saying, "Yeah, it's probably what it means," and then people fucking die.
Well, I think actually Death is so smart that Death knew that it just needed one dumb bitch to help really set things into motion.
And then really said, "That's the one I want to give the premonition to."
Uh-huh.
Look at how incapable you are of stopping me in this moment. Yeah.
I need you to lure Clear out of that safe house.
Yeah. I need you to just really lay it on thick with the guilt. Absolutely. Now, our next one up is a woman after my own heart, and she's one that may surprise you for being on this list. This is from The Strangers, 2008, when James and Kristen, you know, they attended a wedding. He proposed. She's like, nah. And then they spend so much time in this conflict and this pain together. And then you feel real bad. And then they finally start like figuring out their shit. And then just because they were home, they get riggedy wrecked.
Is that why they did it?
Because you're home. Yeah, that's exactly why. Because you were home. This movie is one of my favorite movies. I think, obviously, Halloween 1978, Black Christmas 1974, The Strangers 2008. This is amazing. It also doesn't help that her name is similar to my government name, and my first boyfriend ever was named James. And the house that this takes place in looks very similar to the house that I grew up in Texas. And so I really had that feeling, and I lived in that house when Scream came out, and you have Casey Becker saying she's gonna call the cops, and Ghostface saying they'll never make it in time. We're in the middle of nowhere. This movie fucking hit different. This did different. Now you may look at this and think, oh wait, whoa, what? Kristen died. Her and James got stabbed. They're gone. They're done. But there is a version in which she grabs the kid's ankles and she like wakes up.
Really? Like an alternate ending?
I think it's like a either deleted scene or an alternate ending. I felt it was honorable enough to include in the mentions. Perhaps the people in the chat can let us know if we're just dumb for doing that. But I want to believe in my heart that she lived on, because my heart will go on.
Enjoy that. Yeah, and mine will as well. I want that for her.
Sage, you'll have to let us know what they said about The Strangers. Rob says The Strangers is really good, but I wouldn't put it on the level of Halloween or Black Christmas. Yeah, I wouldn't either, Rob. That's why it's in third place. Halloween, Black Christmas, tied for second. The Strangers, safely in third. That's where it is. They're originally going to do a sequel with Liv Tyler, but it fell through. There we go, Ashley. I feel good about that. I really want to believe she lives, so I'm fine with it. Thank you. I appreciate the solidarity. That's a tenet of sisterhood. So
Solidarity with Liv Tyler is a tenet of sisterhood.
now she is not looking good though on the math. She is 1 point for being in it and 1 point for technically surviving in one version. So she's still in forgettable category, which makes me sad.
That doesn't feel right.
It doesn't.
Because waves were made, the impact was felt. She had a cultural significance. But I do also think a lot of people probably forget that was Liv Tyler.
That's true, but I think that even says more because she escaped into the role.
Okay. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I'm buying what you're saying right now.
Yeah, but I do also think that she made some boneheaded decisions, and I think James was a slightly more competent one in the movie. I don't know why I feel that, but I do. Sage says, he said, you won't get killed because you have nothing, no money, no food, and nobody. They're not going to kill you. That's interesting. What a thought. Ashley says, don't ever watch it alone and drunk. That was one of the worst nights of my life. Wow, that sounds terrifying. Was Scott Speedman the dude in this movie? I think he was. Yeah. So moving on, we are going from one of my favorite movies to the movie that I single-handedly hate nearly the most. And that is Halloween 2007. Now, we revisited Halloween earlier. We talked about our girl Annie Brackett. But here we are on the flip side. And what you don't know, Paris, is that this Laurie Strode is not your granddaddy's Laurie Strode. This is, and you would think, what the fuck does that even mean, Chris? It means she's
Well,
terrible.
the thumbnail. Yeah, the thumbnail tells me everything I need to know. It tells me that she's giving nothing. Those glasses are bad. The hair is terrible. The flyaways, the cardigan, the book.
Yeah.
Ugh.
She's obnoxious. She, in my opinion, doesn't deserve to live. I think the only interesting... Sorry, that is a harsh thing to say. If we want to go into the interesting dynamics of like Rob Zombie's trying to do something different. Okay, he tries to like just fuck up this whole thing about Michael Myers. He gives him a tragic backstory. You really feel for the kid, even though he's a sociopath and a psychopath. But he breaks out of Smith's Grove to find her, and when he finds her, he kidnaps her. But then he sits in front of her and he shows her a picture of them as kids, and he like just wants to be with his sister. Then she's like, "Fuck you, dude," and like just turns off on him. And she's just dumb. And I don't often say that people are dumb. I don't like saying that. I hate this Laurie Strode. I don't know. There's a final girl I hate more than her.
You also don't often say that I don't think she deserves to live.
I don't. I really don't.
Very rare.
I really don't.
Casual cruelty for me.
Yeah. Rob points out she's fingering a bagel at the breakfast table. Terrible. Yeah, there's a point where she's in the house with her parents and she starts fingering a bagel. What? What?
Wait, literally?
Literally. If you search gifs from this movie, you have her fingering a bagel. It's gross.
Well, no, you find it and drop it in the chat, please.
Ashley says, the only thing I liked in this movie besides Annie was Laurie's relationship with her parents. Everything else bad. Go away. Oh, Tyler Mane was a pretty scary Michael Myers, but I still find the movie hard to watch. It is hard to watch. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Samurai Shy, I'm glad you can appreciate the one-liners. In my opinion, she doesn't deserve to live. Annie Brackett should have been the final girl of Rob Zombie's Halloween, and then maybe I would have respected the movie. Maybe. But here we are. Laurie Strode, the fucking legend, Laurie Strode, gets 2 points in this remake carnation, in this new vessel. 2 points for being in the movies, 2 points for surviving both movies, and technically a point for vanquishing Michael at one time. She dies in one version of the sequel, but I'm not going to detract a point for that. She's just a fucking bummer, dude. She's a bummer, but mathematically she's put into adequate.
Okay. I think any Laurie should be, at the very least, adequate.
You would think. I think in my heart she's not actually adequate, but that's okay. Let's move on to something more positive.
Her.
Say again?
I don't think you could ever forget her. As much as you wish you could.
We'll see where we land on the bias. Next up on the list, from a far more positive movie, 2 years later, after the travesty that was Halloween 2007, we have Zombieland from 2009. You've seen this movie?
Oh, I have seen this movie. I was like, wait, why is this Abigail Breslin? And why does it say Little Rock? What the hell is that? Mm-hmm. I've literally seen this movie. Mm-hmm.
So Little Rock has done a lot of things, right? She is the cute but lovable sidekick. She is the little sister to Wichita, who we'll be getting to later. She's in 2 movies. She makes it to the end of 2 movies. She technically kills a zombie on screen. She's here to have a good time, and she manages to get at least one, right? Also, I feel like spiritual points for being such a good con artist. You know, you really gotta be able to sell it as a kid. So I like her. Mathematically, though, that does put her in the adequate territory.
That's fair. I don't think she was forgettable. I think that's pretty low for a zombie movie, to be quite honest. But there she is.
Yeah. Let's continue the trend with being low for zombie movies and talk about Liz from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, that's who Liz was. I'm looking at this. I'm like, why do I recognize her?
Mm-hmm. She's in the movie. She survives to the end of the movie. And what is your take? Do you think she did a whole lot in that movie?
I don't remember her doing very much, and I remember her ending in a really sad way because it was like, no, don't still date him, but she did.
Yeah, she loses a point for settling. Just kidding. Again, we don't have the point here, the column there. She's in the movie. She survives the movie. And here's the thing. She does fight. She does quite a bit. But we don't see her kill a zombie. She defends, right? So, like, I, in my heart, would give her a few more points than what she really gets. We had the bar owner, the pub owner. And then we have that song, Don't Stop Me Now, playing from Queen. And she is in the barrage. She, like, is hitting him with the fire extinguisher. She's really giving it to him. But we only see her ever really kill on screen one person, and that is him. Like, I credit her with assisting in his death. So she really only has 3 points.
That's fine.
Yeah. Just move on, yeah? Just don't care.
Yeah, she was whatever.
Moving on to something that's a little bit less forgettable. We have a movie that I know is very special to you, Paris. Take things personally. Freddy versus Jason.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what is she talking about? I don't know who that is.
Freddy versus Jason, you know.
I saw this in theaters.
I
don't remember anything about it except the one iconic line from Kelly Rowland that got me banned on TikTok.
And you're not going to say it here because you're not going to get us banned.
I won't.
Nice. You've learned. That's growth, Paris.
Well,
thanks. It's growth or accountability. Who knows? But we have Freddy versus Jason. We have Laurie Campbell, who stars opposite Will, who is played by John Ritter's son, Jason Ritter. At least that's who I attached to in this movie. Obviously Kelly Rowland, and then this guy. I loved watching Three's Company as a kid, so I was really excited about him. So she works in tandem with him, right? He was very injured at some points, and she didn't really kill the killers, right? Because Freddy and Jason kind of went at it themselves. They took care of each other and are immortal, but she had a hand in wrapping things up and causing propane tanks to explode, which plunged Freddy and Jason into the lake, allowing Jason to behead him, carry his head, etc. I count it as 2 defeats, honestly. She's in the movie. Excuse me. She makes it to the end. She saves Will, and then she has 2 killers under her belt.
Not bad, honestly.
Yeah, all things considered. All things considered. That puts her into adequate.
Okay, good for her.
Yeah.
No one will ever remember her, but she's not forgettable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, getting through some of the lesser known ones, right? At least these are ones that I think were a little new for me. We have Ghost of Mars from 2001. We have Lieutenant Melanie Ballard. Have you seen Ghost of Mars? I'm sure you haven't.
No.
Okay, so check this out. We're gonna speed through that one. She is not. She's honestly really intense. She's in the movie. She survives the movie. She saves 2 people. She vanquishes 23 people or like things.
Damn.
So check it out. She's still to this very day, hard at work fighting waves of ghosts on Mars. People infected by an alien bioweapon that makes them cannibals. Technically, they're possessed by the ghosts of dead aliens, but listen, man, it's John Carpenter. She has military training, access to weapons, heavy weapons. Drug addiction made her immune to the effects of alien bioweapon. Whew, this is one hell of a sentence to read out loud. It really is. Ripley, thank you for writing that. Honestly, she did a lot. I've never seen this movie, but I kind of want to see this movie now for it.
And I'm going to tell you, Chris, I'm looking it up right now. Not only is Pam Grier in this, but so is famed lesbian Clea Duvall.
Oh, not the famed lesbian.
If this makes it onto the docket, I won't be as mad as I might have thought.
Excellent. Well, I hope not, because she has just gotten herself straight to legendary status with those points.
It's a bit much.
Okay, got it. Understood. Understood. Okay, now let's get back to one that you know, maybe love. And this is Raw Digga. This is Maggie Best from 13 Ghosts from 2001.
I was wondering when we would get some 13 Ghosts in here.
Just the one, honestly. I didn't want to include that whole fucking family. I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad you did.
Yeah. So we have her in one movie. She survives the movie. I credit her with helping save 3 people. She helps vanquish a ghost. She frees trapped spirits. And manages to stop the opening of the gate of hell. And she stepped in to save the whole family. No notes. She did the thing.
Yeah, I think none of this would have really played out as well as it did had it not been for her. She was integral.
She has a total of 6 points, which puts her straight up in the effective category.
Honestly, good. She went above and beyond the Call of Duty for like a nanny.
Yeah. She really was not getting paid enough to do any of this shit.
And also just even going. Being asked to go into this spooky glass mansion full of ghosts and being like, this is my job. I have to. I care about this family. Why the fuck am I doing this? And she did. And she rose to the occasion.
She absolutely did. Now, who didn't rise to the occasion was another Maggie from another film, and that's Maggie Blair, also from Sorority Row. This is the chick who really just showed up to be petty and sleep with someone's boyfriend and really harass the sisters because she knew they had something to do with her sister's death. She sleeps with one.
Final girl.
She makes it to the end of the movie, and in the last frame of the movie. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. She makes it to the end of the movie, and this is where I was like a little bit torn on it. You think, oh, she's just a side character. You had the whole "Pie says goodbye," whatever. You had the whole chant. So it focuses in on her and then the killer who's clearly alive. So they set it up like she's going to be the star of a sequel. Not that there is a sequel, but you know what I mean.
Because she wasn't giving star. She had no star quality. She was not that girl.
She absolutely was not, even though she looks great in the one image that I have of her in a fire wearing someone else's shirt. But that's about it. Forgettable.
I motion to remove her from the tier list altogether.
Wow. Okay. All right. So
Banish her. First of all, we have too much representation for Sorority Row. They can't all be final girls.
the 3 of them are final
Second
girls.
of all, get rid of her. She was nothing. In fact, she felt like almost an antagonist.
Okay.
Plot-wise and like socially, she was a thorn in everyone's side.
Okay. What I will do is at the very earliest put her in overrated.
Okay.
We'll do that for now. Then we'll see what we can do from there. Moving on to Dracula 2000. From the year 2000, we have Mary Heller. Have you seen Dracula 2000?
If not,
okay,
and I won't.
Well, here's the thing. She's actually a vampire slayer, so to speak. She kills Dracula. She kills 2 brides. She saves Simon by not biting him, and she did a lot of shit, right? Like, she has this whole like romantic arc with Dracula, but unlike Winona Ryder and her Dracula, she actually did some shit about it and had a backbone and stayed on the positive side of things. So she has a total of 6 points, which puts her into the effective category.
Okay, I mean, for a vampire movie and you become a vampire and you're not Bella, I think effective is aspirational. I think that's
Oh god, not the Bella. Not the Bella. I was listening to your
Bella would be
playlist.
legendary.
She would.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, it was great.
My playlist,
Your Bella playlist.
where I just put together all the Twilight soundtracks and called it a playlist.
Precisely. I do want to know that Rob asked in the chat, did Sorority Row have a final softball team? How many women made it out of that movie? The sad thing is not
Most of
Carrie
them.
Fisher. Not Carrie Fisher, and that's the real crime.
Yeah.
Now, the next one we have up is from a movie called Hatchet from 2006, and this is where we have an interesting split because the visual representation I have of this is the actress Danielle Harris, although she does not play the original rendition of this character, and I'll tell you why. They did this movie in 2006. In 2010 or so, we get Hatchet 2, where the same character is recast. And I was thinking about this and think, I should put the original actress, but really a lot of the points that Mary Beth Dunson gets, it's when Danielle Harris plays this character. A lot of it happens in the sequels in the franchise. So I have her as being in 4 movies, surviving in 4 movies, saving 2 people, and vanquishing Victor Crowley for a total of 11 points. You seem unconvinced.
Here's the thing. I only watched the first one. I know you went on the full journey. After that empty gas tank, I don't know that I can allow for legendary. Is this enough to put her in legendary?
So it is enough to put her in legendary. However,
Okay.
I will say that this role has become one of the most prominent roles for Danielle Harris. So while I agree that she is not of the same caliber as the rest of the legendary women, for sure, I do think she sits pretty firmly mathematically.
Okay. Put her there.
But we'll see. But we'll see. Now, the real question, though, is not about seeing Hatchet. It's about whether or not you've seen Pandorum from 2009.
I have not. I've never even heard of it, I don't think.
I am unfamiliar completely. But we have Nadia from Pandora. She's in the movie. She survives the movie. She saves a person along the way. And she vanquishes 3 people. She is the key reason why everyone in this movie didn't die while navigating an infested ship. And the number may actually be higher as she is on one of the few who lasted so long being awake. So, like, there's a little bit of deception here. There's more to meets the eye with this movie, but at a very basic level, she's racked up 6 points, which puts her into the effective category.
It sounds like she was effective. As you were describing that, I was like, this sounds effective. It sounds like she got more than she needed to do done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think really being the key reason anyone survives anything is impressive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially multiple people.
Absolutely. Now, this is one, Paris, I'm going to let you take. This is Needy Lesnicki from Jennifer's Body, 2009.
I mean, here's the thing. They put Les in the last name. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Uh-huh.
This is Amanda Seyfried, BFF, everyone's BFF from Jennifer's Body. This is Needy. She starts out, she really goes on a journey, Needy. As far as Final Girl mathematically, I don't know that there's much to work with because I don't know. Did she save anybody? I don't think she did.
No?
No. Nope. Didn't save anybody. Tried to stop her best friend from killing people, but then she found out she wasn't killing people, she was killing boys. And then was like, oh, well, you know. Stabs Jennifer Check right in the tit. She vanquishes her in
She
the end,
does.
which also, you know, vanquishing her own inner lesbian thoughts, which not the most exciting.
Homophobic
Maybe
at best.
a little homophobic. It's internal. We've all had these feelings. But I think Needy goes on such a journey from the beginning of this film to the end and really comes into her own as a woman, as a character, as a human. And I think there's something to be said for that. So while I feel like mathematically, she might even be forgettable, I think at the very least, she deserves adequate.
So here's the thing. You've forgotten a lot about Needy Lesnicki. One,
Oh my God, what did I forget?
deducted points for dating an idiot. I fucking hate her boyfriend. Not real deducted points. I get it. Deducted points for the internalized homophobia of not just giving into Jennifer and sticking with that fucking douchebag. Anyway, boyfriend aside, she's in the movie. She survives the movie, but realistically, she gets 5 bonus points in the killer category. Because did you forget the credits? She killed the entire low shoulder band.
Oh my God, I literally forgot about the credits. Oh, yes.
Yes.
And that's what I mean when I say she grew. She went from beginning being just this mousy little, like, nothing of a girl who was too afraid to stand up for herself for anything to really doing that. Oh, incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Sierra knocks it out, right? We have multiple kills for Needy. Ashley says Jennifer's Body is a 50-50 split. I half love it, half hate it. Sage hated Jennifer's Body, which is shocking. I haven't heard anybody hate Jennifer's Body since the early 2000s or the late 2000s. Taylor with the big lesson of the day: repressed lesbians date shitty guys. It's math. That is absolutely true. I didn't date a single good guy. They were all shitty.
Well,
Yeah,
there you go.
here we are.
So where does she land with the math, Chris?
She lands with a total of 6 points in the effective category.
Okay.
Look at her
listen,
go.
I actually love that. I don't think I need to make an argument for legendary because she only had one movie. She did a lot of great things. But effective is perfect for her. I feel like that's appropriate.
Now, let's think about someone who was in multiple movies. Let's think about Rachel Keller. And this is starting and originating from The Ring. I didn't really care for this movie. She saves her son twice, once per movie, and she technically traps Samara in the well. At best, 2 points for being in 2 movies, 2 points for surviving 2 movies, 2 points for saving her son. She traps Samara, but does she really vanquish her? Not really. It's messy.
Can we give her a point for saving Samara? Because
Sure.
she kind of did.
Sure. Yeah. Even then, it's still, she's firmly in the effective category. She doesn't go much further than
really?
that. Yeah.
That's surprising to me. I thought she would be adequate for sure.
Yeah, I thought so too.
You can actually be a bit generous. We can take that back.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
It doesn't make the difference, but we can
Okay,
absolutely
wow.
reassess to overrated later. We can absolutely do that.
But belong in the same tier as Needy.
Now,
Really tier.
Sage agrees that that Sage and Rob are really the new Paris and Chris, so that's fantastic.
Well, that's good. That gives us some options for when we need a vacation.
Absolutely. We'll call you. Just send us your availability. Now, moving on to the next person, we have, again, an addendum. This is Reese Wilson from the Urban Legends Final Cut 2000 film. She's an addendum because she should have made it into the 90s Final Girls. She is A, hilarious, B, so effective. She is the one who finally stops things in these movies. She is in 2 movies. She survives 2 movies. She saves 4 people, 2 survivors per movie, and she is the one who shoots and disarms or vanquishes both killers. She has a total of 10 points, which pops her right up to legendary.
Good for her. She was fun.
Everybody in the chat agrees, and I love that.
Incredible.
So good.
Questions, no notes.
Now, the next one is an interesting one because I think, Paris, you've seen Trick or Treat anthology.
I actually haven't. I have not.
Devastating at best. So, Trick or Treat, incredible anthology. Anna Paquin is in it. She is another one who people were considering like, yeah, she's a final girl, but really she's a werewolf villain. Spoiler alert, so sorry. This is a great movie. But let me tell you about Rhonda. Rhonda is a girl who's really into the spooky stuff. She's really into horror. She's really into Halloween. She's really into the lore and the traditions of Halloween and jack-o'-lanterns, and she carves jack-o'-lanterns. She gets bullied by a group of kids who kind of trick her down into the rock quarry. And when they spook her and they play this prank on her, she ends up breaking her glasses. What they don't know is that the ghosts are real. And so when she kind of grabs her jack-o'-lantern and uses it for her own safety, she gets into the lift to exit the quarry, and the rest of the kids are massacred by the ghosts that live in the quarry. And while they're begging her, I know, the shock on your face, when they're begging her for help, she just rising. She takes the high road, truly.
Kind of love that.
Yeah. So she's in the movie. She survives the movie. Technically, 4 people who weren't a villain in the movie. They were just asshole kids. They die. But whatever. Honestly, she's a candidate for me for underrated because the math puts her at forgettable.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like she made an impact on you.
She did. I saw myself in Rhonda. So there we go.
It's not that.
It's like a little young me. Now, we're coming up towards the end of our list here, so we're going to go through a few of these that we have. We have Rowan Lafontaine from Jason 10. You've not seen this. This is Jason in Space.
Is this the one with the sleeping bag kill?
Actually, yeah, it is.
That's the only thing I know about this because I saw it and it was so funny. I peed actually a little bit when I saw it because I was laughing so hard.
Control your bodily functions. Thanks. That's great. This is honestly one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies. And in terms of like camp and just pure theatric production, this movie's hilarious. Rowan is another woman in STEM. She is in the movie. She survives the movie. She lures and tricks Jason. She confronts him. She was a really good survivor. She gets cryogenically frozen and brought into the future and has to heal. It's complicated. She doesn't do the thing to finally stop him, but, you know, she's there. She's having a good time. The math puts her at forgettable, which makes me a little sad, but here we are.
Can we get a bonus point for being cryogenically frozen and then brought to the future?
Adequate? Got it. She was right there on the cusp. It's fine.
She was.
Jason 10 is more fun than it has any right to be, and I agree. The next up we have is the other half of Grace Taylor. So this is from Urban Legends, Bloody Mary. This is Sam Owens. And Sam Owens, I only know her from two things. I know her from that weird show about a teacher who sleeps with a student, and I know her from American Horror Story. This actress. Yeah.
I also know her from American Horror Story. I was trying to figure out what I knew her from.
She's the one. Here's the thing. She's in the movie. She survives the movie. She doesn't even really do a whole lot of anything. Grace is the one who really helps out. She did the hard work, sure, of finding Mary's body and providing a proper burial, but I don't think she really deserved it. Either way, the math keeps her unforgettable.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten her.
Yep, exactly. The next up, though, we do have to break down because this is Sarah Carter. This is the other half of Juno's Justice from The Descent.
Yeah.
We have two
This is where
movies.
things get tricky.
We have two movies. We have her surviving one movie, dying in another movie, just like Juno. Technically, she helped save one person in the sequel. She is credited with seeing on screen with killing 8 crawlers. She did, though, abandon Juno. Even if we don't count that against her, she did mercy kill her friend. So Ashley is Team Sarah. So happy for you. Love that for you. I personally am not. But she is someone who sacrificed herself for another character in the sequel. I don't know that character fully made it out. I haven't seen the sequel quite yet. However, she is racking it up. She has it with those 8 crawlers, honestly, that put her over the edge. She's in legendary category.
Is there anything to be said for the alternate ending in which she does not survive?
Yeah, I have a note for that, but I feel like if I let you be on the list for living in one, I shouldn't deduct a point for dying in an alternate version. It's complicated. It's like the benefit of the doubt.
I suppose Sarah and Juno will have to cohabitate.
I should just bump them next to each other, honestly. So Sage is Team Juno. Rob says, I think The Descent is really good, but I don't remember any of the characters from it or the awful sequel. That's fair. You're probably not missing much. The next one that we have up is another Halloween film. This is Halloween Resurrection from the year 2002. Now, this is one where we have a character who is supposed to be like the new proxy for like a Laurie Strode situation. She's chill, she's quiet, she's doing it, but she doesn't do a whole lot beyond that. She has to get saved by Deckard, who's like IMing her through her Palm Pilot the entire thing. You don't know this movie, Paris. This movie is a live stream in Michael Myers' house. Like these people for like an entertainment show go into Michael Myers' house wearing webcams, and they're streaming a night where they're having to uncover the mysteries of Michael Myers' house and his background, and it's all staged, but Michael Myers is really there. There's even a guy dressed as Michael Myers. I think this movie's fun, but she also has to get rescued a bunch. Mathematically, she's one of the weaker Halloween final girls. She's in forgettable territory.
Okay. Rob says in the chat, Resurrection is easily the worst in the franchise. Terrible movie, terrible character, stupid premise. I hate everything about it.
That's a lot of passion, which I don't agree with. Resurrection is my Jason X. Okay, nice. That's fair. I love Halloween Resurrection in a very different way. Not in a classic, this is amazing way, but in a different way. In a fun way. In a I am allowed to feel joy way. That's what I would say. Yeah. Now, wrapping up the list here, we have Sarah Palmer from My Bloody Valentine 3D. Now, we did the remake of My Bloody Valentine. You recall her, Paris.
I do now.
She is someone who, in the original movie, this is like a really rags to riches kind of story. In the original, she was just someone who kind of existed, didn't really participate much. She was caught in the middle of a love triangle. In this one, she's still in the middle of a love triangle. She still is married to an asshole, but she has agency. She has a hand in her own survival. She's in the movie. She survives the movie. She saves her shitty husband, and she didn't kill the killer, but she did thwart him and create the opportunity for her and her husband to be rescued. So those 4 points altogether put her into the adequate territory.
Okay.
And
Not bad for her.
Yeah, the adequate territory is really
Well,
beefing up.
yeah.
Look at us go.
We all aspire to be at the very least adequate.
It's often when people ask me how I'm doing, I often respond, adequate. Yeah, there we go. Now the next one up, Paris. Have you seen 28 Days Later?
I have actually, and I didn't care for it. I'm not, I'm not a zombie girl.
Here's the thing.
I don't like zombie movies.
I love zombie movies, but I did not like this movie. I have not
Isn't
seen
Jared
it.
Leto in this?
I don't remember. I have not seen this movie. No, it's Cillian Murphy or Killian Murphy.
Oh yeah, they're the same to me.
I have not seen this movie since it came out, but I remember going to see it in theaters and absolutely detesting it and being bored. It probably does not deserve that, but I know for sure it was not anything to do with the final girl from this movie, Selena, because Selena is a badass. Selena is a chemist who uses a machete 90% of the time, and according to Ripley, Michonne from The Walking Dead could never. 5 out of the 8 kills were referred to during the film. The number may actually be larger, but she has a point for being in the movie, a point for surviving, 4 people saved, 8 zombies vanquished. So she's done a lot of shit. Her 14 points get her into legendary status.
We can safely say 15 because women in STEM.
That's true.
Chemist with a machete? Ugh.
So good. So
Legendary.
good. Nathan, I'm sorry that I'm Paulette Regan from A Quiet Place isn't on the list. Oh, that's the next decade. That's the next decade's age.
Yeah.
We're there. We're getting there. Nathan, I'm so sorry that I just disappointed you with 28 Days Later. The next one, though, is not Selena, but Celine. This is Kate Beckinsale from the movie Underworld. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Oh my God, Chris. So it has now come to my attention that Kate Beckinsale in the movie Underworld is not Mila Jovovich in the film's Resident Evil.
Wow.
Though, isn't she? Aren't they exactly doing the same thing?
Same, but different.
I
Here's
literally
a
was
note.
like, why is this just a zombie version of the bitch from before?
Here's the thing. According to Ripley, Celine could have rivaled Alice in the amount of movies produced, but did not have Paul Wes Anderson to do it. She's heavily armed with automatic weapons and vampiric strength and speed, which is, I mean, honestly, I don't know how that falls in your hot category. I'd say hot.
Very hot.
4 movies she's in, 4 movies she survives, 1 person that she saves, and 19 foes vanquished. 28 points. Solid performance.
I see that for her. In that she and Mila Jovovich are the same, and they should be in the same tier.
Same, but different. Next up, we have one from a movie I have not seen yet, and this is Sky Rotter from My Super Psycho Sweet 16. This is an interesting one, Paris. So she gets her 2 base points being in the movie for surviving the movie. She gets a little bit more because she is in a couple other movies as well. She's in 3 films total. So actually, let me update this. So she is someone who's like the daughter of a serial killer. In the first film, she actually straight up abandons a girl in the basement, and that girl gets killed. So she's the one that I've been talking about this whole time. She straight up abandons.
Well,
In the second film, she kills the villain. And in the third film, she betrays her sister, defeats her, and saves someone else. So there's a lot of family drama in this franchise. I am looking forward to finally watching it. This is a very MTV franchise.
very.
Oh yeah. But I think what's most interesting to me is the fact that even looking at her as a whole situation, I'm still not super impressed. Like, she's kind of like a girl who ends up just dating a jock, and that seems to be one of her best accomplishments. And I feel like that's not a fair thing to assign to her. But that does put her in adequate territory for the number of movies survived and all that good stuff.
I mean, I didn't know this movie existed, so for her to have been strong enough to have 3 made, good for her.
Yeah, Absolutely. Next up, though, we have a woman who faced tragedy in her film with vampires again, and then actually made it to a sequel. This is Stella from 30 Days of Night. This is Josh Hartnett's estranged wife, the one who sits next to him as he turns into a vampire and disintegrates into the sunset or the sunrise. This movie from 2007 was a solid one. The question marks are, well, A, she does save Gail Robbins in the original. In the sequel, she kills the vampire queen and maybe others, right? So she has a bit of a body count to her. She's a woman out for vengeance. Absolutely. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. The question mark is that she may have been turned. It's not clear if she actually is turned by Eben when she tries to resurrect him and feed him from her blood. So some question marks there about what happens. But officially her score is 2 movies in, 2 movies survived, a person saved, and a killer vanquished. So a total of 6 points puts her in effective.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see that for her.
Yeah. Now, we did talk about rags to riches, but we have the exact opposite. We have riches to rags on this one. This is Stevie Wayne. You seem hurt by this.
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Selma Blair in this role, the character of Stevie has never resonated with me the way it seems to have resonated with the rest of the world. To me, she's always been blah in both movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stevie was actually... She contributed a lot in the original movie because she stayed in the lighthouse and she navigated. She put messages out to the radio waves. She was guiding people and was had a hand in people surviving. This one, though, she absolutely did none of that. She may have done better in terms of a radio setup. Maybe Rob, you can tell us your opinion on her. But she was in the movie. She survives the movie. She didn't do shit. It's really disappointing. Way to be a terrible version of Stevie. This Stevie and that Lori, terrible. Terrible time in the 2000s.
Yeah, it was a bad time for remakes for the most part.
Tony would not stand for Stevie Wayne slander, Ashley. However, he wouldn't stand for original Stevie Wayne slander. I think he'd agree on this one. Now, coming up towards the end here, we have Taylor Gentry from Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. You dislike.
That's who this is. Hate. Loathe entirely.
She's in the movie. She survives the movie. She technically saves 2 people. I don't know if you consider them saving them, though. She does vanquish Leslie Vernon.
Wasn't actually saving them because they were actually just fucking and in no danger.
Okay, yeah. I mean, well, the people who were fucking, then they're all dead. But she saved technically one of her camera folks and also Doc Halloran.
Oh, okay, yeah. I can get. She can get points for that. That's
okay.
Fine.
So that puts her into adequate territory, which doesn't feel right because I still don't like her very much. But there you go.
Yeah, I guess adequate.
Rob needs to know if you hate the movie or hate her.
Yes.
To both. Got it. Now, the next movie I haven't seen genuinely since it came out. That's Fear.com from 2002. Do you recall this?
Oh my god, so vaguely. So vaguely. Again, I saw this in theaters. Fear.com. Oh, they're trying to solve a crime. It's this website where people are posting live murders. Is that what it was?
You know, murders on the internet. Fear.com. Ashley points out, I think she's straight up forgettable. Bitch didn't realize she was the final girl until the movie was almost over. She says about Taylor. Rob says,
yeah, exactly.
Paris, you just got back and you already have me shaking my head in disbelief. How sad.
Wait, didn't we do that episode recently? Did you listen to that episode? I hated it.
Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon? I think he has.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Terry from Fear.com. Terry is, a woman who's doing some stuff. She killed Pratt by releasing a spirit, and she technically has 2 under her belt in terms of killers vanquished. She didn't really save anyone, but she does have a total of 4 points. That puts her into adequate territory, which feels a little generous.
Sure.
Now, the last one of the last ones here, we have Trish Jenner from Jeepers Creepers. What are your thoughts?
Trish, again, iconic brunette in a tank top. Um, Let me think. She survived. She's not in the sequels. Actually, wait, is she in the second one? Does she
She
make a
was,
cameo in the second one?
I believe so. Maybe she was supposed to be in. She was like pitched to be in one of the like the newest one that's coming out. And when they got rid of the director and he has no involvement anymore with the franchise, her story went with him.
Oh, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the actress would have said yes once that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think ultimately she has to be graded a little bit on a curve because this is an antagonist that cannot be vanquished. You pretty much just have to wait it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. And she did that. She failed to save the most important person to her, which is sad. I don't know, but I loved her. She was the heart of this movie.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. She sadly only survived by not being chosen. That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike her when I saw this movie, and Rob points out in the chat, like, talking about these movies always makes him uncomfortable, and I get that 100%. There's a reason why we haven't done it on the podcast. It's just going to be so layered and complicated if we ever did, and maybe one day we will, but there's just a lot to unpack there, right? When I saw this movie and I was completely innocent of any ideas or like knowledge of what was going on, I remember really loving it. And I remember really loving her. But mathematically, she's in the movie, she survives the movie, she fails to save anyone, and she's mathematically forgettable.
Oh, that hurts. That
I
hurts
know.
my heart.
I know. Someone else who I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it is also forgettable is actually Venna from Joyride from 2001. She is in the movie, she survives the movie, but she's a damsel in distress situation in which the guys have to come save her after she's kidnapped by Rusty Nail.
You hate to see it.
Absolutely. Now, two people that are going to really take us home here. We have Whitney Miller from Friday the 13th, 2009. Have you seen this Friday the 13th?
I don't believe so.
So it's kind of like a reboot as opposed to a remake. It makes sure that like the same kind of events from like 1 and 2-ish are canon, but this is like a really much more intense like outdoorsman Jason. This is like a survivalist compound Jason who's like setting traps and stuff like that. Really great stuff. The opening scene to this movie, before you even hit the opening credits, it's like a mini Friday the 13th movie within the movie, and it's so good. She is kidnapped or like presumably killed in the beginning of the movie, and then we find out that her brother finds her, and then another girl who we think is the final girl, and the three of them kind of make it towards the third act, and not all of them make it out, which is sad. But Whitney Miller, great character. She's in the movie. She survives the movie. She saves her brother, and she helps vanquish or defeat Jason. She's similar to Alice from the original Friday the 13th, except she had to do way more shit. Her brother couldn't have taken down Jason alone. Mathematically, she ends up in the adequate territory.
Oh, interesting. It sounded like she was going to do a lot more than that. But I also love a final girl fake out.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, this was a great one, and I think you would really appreciate it. And rounding us out for the night, before we get into our bias and kind of adjust things where they fall, we have Wichita from Zombieland 2009. I see her and I think of the movie Easy A. Great movie. She's in so many great things. But
Wait, which actress is that?
Say again.
Oh my god, it's Emma Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, how did I not realize this?
She
wasn't
has
in the
a small
second one.
picture. She is.
She is? What the hell?
Wow.
Yeah, Emma Stone, obsessed. Emma Stone is iconic. How did I not remember Emma Stone being in the Zombieland movies?
Wow. That's because you don't like zombie movies. Wichita is in both movies. She survives both movies. And she kills 17 zombies in those movies. And she cons a lot of men out of a lot of shit. So props to her. Her 21 points take her straight to the top in the legendary category.
I honestly love that because Emma Stone is a legend to me. And let me see. Yeah, she really was in the sequel too. Huh. I
Crazy.
do not know how I erased her from my mind as being in those movies. What?
I don't know
I
either.
love her. She's one of my faves. She's like one of my top 5. She's in my coven. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Now, we've talked about a lot here tonight, Paris. And for our folks in the chat, you've been really troopers hanging out with us. There's so much that we've unpacked in terms of who these women are. We've ranked over 70 of them. The question is, it's time for the bias. Who are we not satisfied with in terms of the placements?
Okay, I have notes. Starting with Amber Williams, who made it to Legendary.
Adequate, actually.
Amber Williams made it to Adequate?
She's from I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Are we bumping her to overrated?
Maybe? Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
So we have
Wait.
Alexa Wood, who is in Legendary.
No, she can stay. So can Alice. Yeah, I think it was Amber Williams. Yeah, let's bump Amber Williams down because, like, literally who?
Done.
Like, literally who?
Considered.
No one, no impact, no splash, no wave, no way she's not forgettable.
I'm going to go ahead and make a pick. I think Eliza Dushku as Jessie Burlingame from Wrong Turn 2003, even though she didn't do mathematically as much, is highly underrated. Because damn, if she didn't, it'd just be a great survivor.
I think that's true. And she really helped to solidify the trope of brunette in a tank top.
Absolutely. Who else do you have?
Well, I have, where did Angela end up?
Angela Bassett is in underrated.
No, not Angela Bassett. Angela
Oh,
from Rec. She's
from
a
Rec?
detective. That's fair. That's good for her. Oh, I'm gonna take, Clear Rivers. Clear Rivers, she deserves more.
Okay.
She's underrated.
Got it.
She technically did nothing wrong except listen to somebody in need, which,
What a flaw.
that's a way to go. Yeah. Caring
All
about
right.
others.
Okay. I'm going to bump down Laurie Strode because why the fuck are you here? Terrible hater. Let's go.
Technically adequate. Actually, no.
Yeah. Technically adequate, but the world would have been better without you. I'm sorry.
Let's see. Our women in STEM have been solidified. Kristen McKay. Who is Kristen McKay?
From The
We've literally
Strangers, Liv Tyler.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's the thing about her. We gotta bump her up.
Okay.
Because even though she didn't do as well mathematically, she was iconic. Culturally, her in that plaid shirt and those pants, it was everyone's Halloween costume. Because You Were Home, chills. Liv Tyler did that. And people forget that that was Liv Tyler. And that should not be forgotten.
Okay. Adequate or underrated?
Where is she now? Forgettable?
Underrated?
Bullshit. Underrated.
Okay. Fantastic. I'm going to actually bump Rhonda to underrated because, yes, she didn't do much, but she let their up-ins come.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you painted a real picture there, so I kind of felt like this was coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounded cinematic.
I'm also going to just take the opportunity to bump down Rumor Willis because technically she scored in the adequate category. I'm going to bump her down to overrated because that's technically the better place for her instead of forgettable.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. She's absolutely overrated. Rumor Willis, as an actress, sadly underrated. This character, horribly overrated.
She did play it well. If we're talking about just performance, hell of a job. Fantastic.
She did.
Taylor, I'm glad you agree with my assessment.
So now I am going to formally submit a motion to remove Maggie Blair altogether.
Okay.
There would be a limit for how many representatives from one movie can exist. And
Okay.
if somebody has to go from Sorority Row, it obviously is her. She did nothing, even though she did something.
She
was
had
more
it
of a
coming.
problem than she was a solution. I think we can say that.
Okay, that's fair. I will take her down. Done.
Delete.
Delete.
Delete her.
Delete her from the
Forget her.
spreadsheet. Move her down.
History must forget her. I don't think delete her from the spreadsheet. I think just cross out the whole line so
Okay.
that we can remember.
Strike the record. Got it. Initial
Strike her
next to
from
it.
the record. Thank
Okay. I'm also going to bump up Annie Brackett So look, Annie Brackett, when you see the absolute sheer devastation that her soul had to like still cling to life in spite of, amazing. The level of support she provides to Lori, the kinship there, the love, the support, the loving Lori at her worst, even if it's not romantically. Annie is a woman traumatized, but still optimistic to heal. And that is the best shit about it. Underrated, criminally, the best Annie Brackett, in my opinion.
Okay. And this has nothing to do with the fact that it's Daniel Harris.
Nothing to do. Bonus points there
Okay.
because very attractive. But
Okay.
honestly, just Annie Brackett on paper, 10 out of 10.
Okay, fair. So I'm going to come to the table with a negotiation.
Okay.
Hear me out. I will allow Marie from High Tension to be erased from the narrative as she currently is in exchange for the inclusion of two really hatefully overlooked characters from iconic franchises who I think, if we did the math, would end up as legendary.
Okay.
And I think it might just be an omission because you're not familiar with the content.
Perhaps.
But Brenda and Cindy from Scary Movie. When it comes to Final Girls, these are the girls. These are parodies of Final Girls, and as a result, iconic Final Girls of themselves. Cindy has survived her own ghost face. She has survived aliens. She has survived all the ghosts from The Ring, from The Grudge, from all of them. She has survived it all. And Brenda has been with her every step of the way until Brenda died.
Now I know that Brenda dies. I know what it feels
So
like to
Brenda
be
doesn't
Sage
make
getting
it.
spoiled in the chat. So sorry.
Well, listen, you don't know what movie it happens in.
That's true. Okay.
She makes it through a field.
Paris, you drive a hard bargain. So on the one hand, you have allowed comedy to enter the realm. And is it really horror comedy, like officially, or is it just parody? Okay.
It is a love letter to horror.
Okay. In exchange for not having to deal with Marie, the villain, who is rightfully neglected and omitted because of the rules of the game. Sure. Yeah. Fuck it. Why not? Let's go. Are there scary movies that fall into the next decade? Because if so, I will post haste include them into the next stream.
Some of them do, I believe. I believe that they go that far. And they shouldn't have. That's fair to say. But they do.
Now, Taylor points out that comedy entered the game the minute you brought up Zombieland. Yeah, no, for sure. But like Zombieland is for sure like horror comedy with like the gore and shit. And Scary Movie, just want to make sure it is horror comedy. Like if it only because I haven't seen it, I haven't looked into it. Right? I know that's parody, straight up parody. And I'm not going to question it. I support it.
I will say, Chris, if and when you do begin that journey, wildly offensive, could never be made today. So much of it is like, wow, I can't believe that. But there is some good there.
Okay. I respect it. I respect it. And I thank you for that.
Peak 2001 humor. Back when straight white men were the only ones allowed to write jokes.
I couldn't even like 2001 humor in 2001.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I did. I'll admit that.
Okay.
But you watch it now and you're like, oh, jeez.
Okay. So another move I think I have.
Okay.
I don't know if this is going to be unpopular. In fact, no, I do know it is. I don't feel good about Dawn Inadequate. I kind of feel like she's overrated.
Dawn.
Teeth.
Remember who Dawn is.
You have notes.
You're gonna say overrated?
I'm gonna say overrated.
Because here's what I think.
Okay, I could be swayed. I am open to negotiation.
I think effective.
What?
I'm not meeting you halfway. I'm running the other direction.
Okay, maybe we leave her where it is then. I think that's a safe place to agree on.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I'm okay with that. We'll just leave that and
Okay.
let that be where it is.
Adequate, please. Adequate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are the moves that I have to make. You in the chat, do you
Okay.
have any moves? Do you feel good about these moves? I know that we had some agreements earlier, but I'll give you a moment if you just want to chime in of anyone else to consider. But Paris, how do you feel while we wait for their input?
Well, I have another move.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
I'm not done.
No, fire away,
Um,
please. Give me more.
talk to me about Mary Beth Dunstan again.
She's from Hatchet. She's been in 4
Mhm.
movies. She's killed a lot of shit. She's saved some shit too. This is probably Daniel Harris's most popular franchise in terms of like longevity.
Dare we say overrated?
I'd leave that up to the listeners.
Okay.
I'd leave it up to the
Mind you,
listeners.
I've only seen the first one. Only seen the first one.
Had I only seen
Which
the
you've already
first one,
admitted.
right? Well, yes, the character is in. It's just
Oh,
like
it's okay.
she's just recast, so she survives the end of the
Okay.
movie. So she's in that movie. However, I would say not overrated because of the sheer like size of that franchise and the staying power. It'd kind of be like saying Laurie Strode is overrated, except Laurie Strode is in a higher caliber film versus Hatchet being like a solidly mediocre film, at least in my opinion. I
Okay.
think we have some folks who are going to be chiming in here in a second about Hatchet specifically. I know when we were talking about Hatchet earlier, a lot of people who love him. I think here's the thing: we rate these people against each other, right? We do the All-Star game. She's not going to make it very far,
Okay.
but I think on her own merit, I think she deserves to be where she is. But we'll see. She survives
What
Victor
about
Crowley, huh?
what about effective instead of legendary? Because it sounds like legendary is only because they just kept making the movies and not necessarily because she was that girl.
Well, she'd
You know
have
what
to
I
keep
mean?
doing
Whereas
more.
like the other legends in legendary are kind of giving star quality. They're giving like, oh yeah, her. Oh, she did that.
I feel she does though. Like the amount of theatrics that she pulls off and the amount of injury that she survives, she's got some grit to her. Um, Tony, welcome back. Glad you fell asleep. Rob says Hatchet is in no way mediocre. Chris, get it together, you two. I'm sorry, but he says not overrated. She survives Victor Crowley.
Okay.
I don't
tried
think she's
and
overrated.
I failed,
That's
and that's
okay.
okay.
I'm giving you your scary movie, so we'll get there.
Okay.
But what else do you have?
I think that's it. Yeah. I'm happy. I'm at peace.
This is
I'm at peace with this,
yeah.
minus the hatchet of it all.
Minus
And
the
that's
Hatchet,
okay.
and we'll see where she falls. We'll see where she
So
falls.
yeah, can we scroll up the legends? Let's review the legends. We have Mila Jovovich. We have
Alexa
go back up.
Woods.
Oh wait, there's a delay. I'm watching this stream.
Oh, you're so
We have
funny.
Alexa Woods, who really, from everything we've learned, sounds like an icon. We then have who's that next to her?
Bridget
Bridget.
from Ginger
Who the
Snaps.
hell? Oh, I believe that she belongs in the legendary tier. Then we have famed lesbian power couple, Juno and Sarah.
Absolutely.
Legends in their own way. Then you know what? The one whose drug addiction made her immune to the alien ghosts or whatever. Maybe effective. Maybe just effective.
You think a little overrated?
I think she might be.
Okay. But she did do a lot in terms of the sheer number of it. She's
Well, it looks like
fighting.
one of those movies that just had a ton of bodies. The cover's like an army of goons.
Okay. Okay. So you think slide her down to effective?
I think slide it down to effective because it sounds like she really did her job and did really well at it, but I don't know that it was giving legendary.
Okay. Okay. I think we're going to have to contend with Ripley on this one, but it's going to be good. I think we're going to leave it on the spreadsheet categorized as legendary and just know this when we make our adjustments so we can really just sink in and break it down.
Okay. And then I think the rest of the legends, I'm sold. I'm sold.
You got some good ones.
Yeah.
You got some good
And our
ones.
effective tier looks strong as well. Well, I think and I think you'll probably have no contest with this.
The
We
Ring?
need to bump Rachel.
Done.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about her until seeing her just now.
The
Done.
math just
Gone.
did her some favors that weren't quite justified.
Yeah, really. The numbers and the math came from privilege, not from
I wouldn't say
deserving it.
overrated. I would say adequate at best. Because not forgettable. We can't say she's forgettable. But I also don't think she's overrated because I don't think anyone would be like, oh, she's amazing. No one's saying that about her. So I feel
Okay.
like she has to be an adequate.
I can
you know?
respect it.
She technically solved the mystery. She did save her kid.
Mm-hmm.
She did what a mom would do.
Okay.
Nothing more.
Okay.
that's
Rob
adequate.
points out that it seems like there are a lot of people in the legendary tier. Yeah, there are quite a few on there from a sheer point perspective. But again, once we rank the all-stars of each decade, right, that's going to flesh out, right? We'll change the point gate in terms of like what number hits what threshold and how we break this down. Because I think we're going to have to also assess a different category of things altogether, Paris. Like, we're not going to be enough to just do these same metrics. We're going to have to really like think about the cultural impact and influence of these characters. So
I agree. I also think something needs to be accounted for as far as the
Hotness.
inherent bias of the system. Not necessarily, but yes. The inherent bias of the system to favor like zombie movies where there's hordes of things. The math is on their side. Some of these numbers are astronomical for those very reasons.
some of them. I will point out though that zombie movie Wreck, not beefed up at all. Liz, Shaun of the Dead, zombie movie, not beefed up at all. Wichita gets some shit done. Little Rock gets some shit done. But some of the zombie movies that we've seen, and actually very few final girls from them. Most of the survivors in zombie movies are actually men. It's wild.
Sadly.
Yeah, it's the patriarchy of it all. But yes, we can calculate the formula together. We can hack the mainframe. We can corrupt the algorithm. We can make the rules whatever we want them to be to let women shine.
Actually, Chris, hold on one sec.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. Welcome. You can change my credit score while you're there.
Yes, I've already done that.
Thanks. Looking good.
It's now 12.
Even better. Even better. So, who's on the first on the second row of adequate? That is her from The Orphan, Tony. I dare say that she's a little bit underrated given the intensity of I'm Not Your Fucking Mommy and just the drama of that kick. But I think beyond that, she's adequate.
Yeah, she didn't save the world. She saved her comfortable lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which, who wouldn't?
And killed an apparent child who was actually an adult. Yes.
And
So.
is now prequel being visibly 30.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What is that?
Look, I think that brings us. Also, Juno is not legendary. Tony, she absolutely is. You missed the explanation. You missed the math. But it's okay. You'll be able to
Tony,
rewind on the stream. Yeah.
June and Sarah, legends.
They're tied. They're tied. They're one and the same. They're two sides of the same coin. They are the Chris and Paris of the Descent. That's who this is.
Wow, does that make me Juno?
Who knows? Do we have to define it? Can we just be happy the way we are?
You just don't want to be Sarah.
No. I don't want to be Sarah.
We can share Juno.
Yeah, let's just both be Juno. Yeah, we'll just go with that. Rob, the numbers are nothing if not integrity. I will CC you on the spreadsheet. There's some fucking math in here. Now, folks, our next stream is going to be focused on the concurrent decade. It's going to be 2010 to 2019, which gets us into the 2018 Halloween remake. Very exciting. And a bunch of other films as well. Now, you may have Final Girls that you're missing. You may have Final Girls or movies you're like, oh, I can't believe these bozos at Hacker Slash forgot. Bruh, there's just a lot of movies. Already, the 2010s list is nearing 200. That might need to be a stream that we break up into a couple streams. This one we've been at, oh my god, it's so late. We started this at 10 o'clock. I'm so sorry,
You're way
Paris.
past my bedtime.
You have to work in the morning. So we have some work to do, right? But drop us a line. Leave us a comment on this video. You can reach out to us at feedback@hackerslash.com. You can DM us on any of our social media platforms. If you're a member of our Discord server, come hang out, join us. There is a thread actively for these final girls for the next decade that you can make your recommendations for. If you're not a member of the Discord, what are you doing? Come hang out.
Yeah, it's free. It's literally free.
Yeah, it's where the cool kids are. Paris, do you have any parting thoughts?
This was fun. I am looking forward to the All-Star season where the legends can battle it out for legendary legend stars. And I'm really hoping that we get some interesting competition in that legendary tier. I don't want to see a clean Laurie Strode sweep.
Oh,
I
it's
want to
not.
see fair fight. I want to see the girls girling. And I want to see somebody come out on top. Who is the final girl to end all final girls? Who is the final girl? You know?
I think that's fair, and I think we can break it down in a way that will take that in. Even I think we can explore some of the lore and some of the canonical elements of like comic books and things like that. That we think about cultural impact, right? Things that reach beyond just the runtime of the movie. So we have some stuff to do, and we'll get there. But thank you so much for hanging out with us, folks. If you've been with us for the last few hours, it looks like the majority of the people who started the stream are now ending with us. Thank you. That's amazing. You're all saints, a lot of you. Stay tuned to our social media. Hop into the Discord server so you can get announcements on when we're going to pick things up and continue on. But for now, ta-ta.
Bye-bye. Ooh.
What's your favorite scary movie? What's your favorite scary movie?